42nd millennium. None truly capture the grimdark essence of what Warhammer 40k is all about, better than the Adeptus Mechanicus. Warhammer plays with a lot of
this one should be
themes,
better, right?
some factions leaning into them more than the others. The Mechanicus somehow manages to combine all of them into a single perfect faction. Religious fanaticism?
Yes,
check.
mechanical.
Spectacular levels of violence and never-ending war? Check. Cautionary commentary on the dangers of authoritarian regimes and rigid adherence to tradition? Check. They even managed to throw in a tasteful dose of grotesque body
Tentacles.
horror. I know Space Marines are supposed to be the poster boys of this franchise, but nothing screams 40k to me quite like a tech priest dominus. They are a society of machine-worshipping fanatics. Humanity
He has a skull on his gooch.
quite like a tech priest dominus. They are a society of
Look at that. He has a skull on his gooch. Can you hear this one better? Please let me know. The gooch skull. Oh, he also has a baby. That's not a skull. Uh-oh. Oh no. Servitor? No, it's not the skull.
Machine-worshipping fanatics. Humanity's brightest scientists and engineers.
That's a nice shirt.
Who wield some of the most advanced weaponry humanity has ever seen.
The shirt is
Yet
fitting
they have
as well.
forsaken the path of progress through innovation, viewing the unsanctioned application of science to create new technology as a sin punishable by death. Instead, relying on the ancient technology of humanity's past. And in order to regain this lost archaeotech, they set off into the stars on a righteous crusade to acquire the most valuable of all resources, knowledge. But what exactly is the Mechanicus all about? What is their role in the Imperium? How do they wage war?
Oh no, I'm gonna pin that one. That's a good one. The good servitor. Oh wait, let me pin it. I cannot. Oh no. Somebody say something so I could pin it. Because the heart icon is blocking. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, I cannot. No. Hold on. Boop, thank you. We must paint the gooch. The good servitor. It is a good servitor.
And what kind of weapons do they bring to battle? What is a tech priest? And
Ooh,
are they aware
that's
that they
gross.
look unbelievably horrifying? We're going to be getting into all that and a whole lot more. There's a lot to cover with the Adeptus Mechanicus. Honestly, just looking at the timestamp, I think pretty sure this is my longest video yet. So sit back, get comfy, and maybe start painting some of those 40k miniatures in your pile of shame, because we're going to be diving headfirst into the
The machine gods faithful fight under the banners of their ancient forges, to the sound of binaric chants bellowed in praise to the Omnissiah. They wield some of the most advanced weaponry humanity has seen since the days of the Dark Age of technology.
Oh, they're so cool. Look at them.
Are responsible for the construction and maintenance of all of the towering war machines, weapons, and armor utilized by all of
they make the machines.
To the Mechanicus, the quest for knowledge is a never-ending pursuit, the most holy of conquests. Data and technology are seen as sacred, and to blaspheme a machine's form through reckless innovation is a heretical sin, punishable by obliteration. They clad themselves in the armor of their faith, embrace behind the bulwark of tradition. By their will is the machine god's wrath made manifest, and all those that would blaspheme his name
the good servitor
with cold mathematical ruthlessness. To witness the Adeptus Mechanicus
mathematical ruthlessness,
is to see legions of cybernetic horrors and soulless automatons approaching as a holy procession. A righteous crusade that strides implacably forward on piston-driven limbs, ever onward in the quest for lost knowledge. At one point in their lives, their soldiers were indistinguishable from other humans, but now their legions have been blessed with mechanical apotheosis through holy butchery on the anvils of their mighty forge worlds.
Hold on. I don't know what apotheosis means. Apotheosis. Highest point in development of something. Oh, climax. Culmination climax. Apotheosis. We'll learn something new every day.
Each and every one having been reborn as a twisted fusion of man and machine. The weakness of their flesh stripped away and replaced with sanctified steel. Now reborn in the machine god's image and equipped with a vast array of cybernetic enhancements.
The machine god!
Molded into cold, logic-driven killing machines. It is their sacred duty to deliver the machine
The
god's
duty!
wrath
The
to the
sacred
witch,
duty.
the heretic, and the alien. Now, alongside the foot-slogging
Witch,
infantry
heretic, and
are ancient
alien.
robotic constructs, each one a hulking giant, bristling with heavy firepower. They are supported by a host of spider-limbed
Praise be.
vehicles that unleash heavy precision bombardments. Vanguard forces of rad troopers march ahead of their peers, delivering
Rad
storms
troopers.
of irradiated hellfire to the non-believers. With
Ah,
every
yes.
step, radiation seeps from their
That's some good
esoteric
music.
war gear, twisting the battlefield into a toxic nightmare. In their hour of need, the Mechanicus calls upon the most ancient of treaties, summoning
So
their
cool.
closest allies to their cause.
Look
the
at that.
towering bipedal war engines of the Knight households,
War
and the
engine.
colossal god engines of the
Oh!
Legio Titanicus.
He's carrying a big church with machine guns. There's a lot of people in there, no? Oh my god. It's like a mega church. Mega church? No. Mega church. I'm so funny. Like and subscribe. Mega church! Anyway.
Each of which wielding world-quaking weaponry that can reduce entire cities to nothing more than molten slag with a single shot. Blessed is he who strides with giants into the crucible of war.
Crucible of War.
So
I
with that
actually don't know
tasteful
what
dramatic
crucible means.
introduction,
What is a crucible? Oops. A container. It's a glass. Can be subjected to high temperatures. Okay. Crucible.
out of the way, what exactly is the Adeptus Mechanicus, or the priesthood
When
of
the
Mars,
church
as
comes
they're
to you.
often called? Well, first and foremost, they are the
You don't
keepers
go
of
to church, the
mankind's
church will come to you.
technological knowledge.
Uh-oh.
They are the creators of humanity's machines, great and small, with which they treat with great reverence and honor through elaborate rituals and their collective faith in the machine god. They are a faction beholden to tradition that carefully guards every single scrap of ancient data recovered
Used for
through their
forging,
extensive and
ah.
exhaustive exploratory efforts. You can think of the Mechanicus as a complex hierarchy of ruling tech priests, as well as their vast menagerie of followers. All within the Mechanicus have completely devoted themselves to what they refer to as the Divine Trinity. That is,
Divine
the Machine
Trinity.
God, the Omnissiah, and the Motive
Omnissiah.
Force. The Machine God
Motive
being the
Force.
divine being the cult worships that is said to be the keeper and bestower of all knowledge
Machine
within the
God.
universe. The Omnissiah being the emperor of mankind, who they see as the avatar of the machine god given physical form in order to walk the material
Omnissiah.
universe. And finally, the motive force, the energy
Motive
that allows
force.
all creations, be they mechanical or
force.
organic, to experience life.
That's gross.
They believe the motive force is embodied in its purest form through machine spirits, the invisible sentience that resides in each and every machine.
Force.
The Trinity is seen as the embodiment of wisdom and
They
the
believe in
guiding
the
force
Force.
of the universe that empowers everything. Now, a quick side note here. The term Omnissiah is often used in the source material to refer to the Emperor and the Machine God interchangeably. Because the Mechanicus views knowledge as the supreme manifestation of divinity, all creatures and artifacts that
that's
contain
strange.
knowledge are holy. The Emperor is seen as a supreme object of worship, considering just how much knowledge he contains and how much he's able to comprehend. This can get a little bit confusing on whether or not they're praying to the machine god or to the Emperor. They don't worship the Emperor as the one true god of humanity like the
look at
rest
that
of the Imperium
jawline.
does.
Oh.
He is the avatar of the machine god. Thus, through the worship of him, they are worshiping the machine god directly. So when they say things like praise the Omnissiah, they may be referring specifically to the machine god,
Praise the
to
Omnissiah.
the Emperor, or to the machine god through his proxy, which is the Emperor. The simplest way of thinking of it is that they worship both because both are one and the same. The Mechanicus views knowledge as an extension of the divine will of the machine god. They see technology and the sacred act of its creation as the most holy of concepts. Now conversely, any form of deviance from their creed, i.e. the disrespect of machine spirits through the dissection of the construct they inhabit, is Xenos technology
Dissection.
and machines that can think for themselves,
Oh.
of which the Mechanicus refers to as abominable intelligence, are
Abominable
all viewed as the
intelligence.
ultimate expression of tech heresy.
Oh, it's a beautiful art.
A sin
Sheesh.
punishable by death. The vast majority
So if the machine could think of itself, on itself, it's heresy. Oh no. Uh-oh. But I thought they believe in the Force. That's kinda suspicious. No sentient AI allowed. Lockjaw. Crucible is where metal ore was smelted into ingots. If it's into ingots, it's where purities were separated from the pure metal. No chat GPT, no. The Gooch Toasters, yes. The Gooch
of machinery utilized by mankind is absolutely ancient and can trace its origins all the way back to the time of the Dark Age of technology.
It's the
It is
mega
through
church.
the cult Mechanicus' fanatical devotion to this ancient tech that humanity has been able to recover a portion of what it had lost so long ago. It has become their ultimate mission to recover as much of this lost tech as possible, and thus they have launched hundreds, if not thousands, of exploratory fleets to scour the stars for even the tiniest trace of lost data. If they so much as get the tiniest inkling on the whereabouts of something like an STC, they will drop everything they are doing immediately to pursue it. Although they freely share—
what's the STC again? I don't remember what it is. I don't remember what it is. Standard template construct. A core, blah blah blah. I don't know what it is. Artificially intelligent computer database. Oh, the database, right. STC was invented when human and stellar civilization was at its technological peak. The sum total of human scientific and technological knowledge. They're after this ball right here. STC. It's whatever the story needs it to be.
a portion of their wisdom with their allies. Sacred data is jealously guarded in order to maintain their power and influence in a carefully choreographed dance with the myriad different factions that make up the Imperium of mankind. And this makes a lot of sense, as if it wasn't for the Mechanicus' Forge Worlds, their mastery of industry, their incomprehensible trove of resources, and not to mention their unrivaled knowledge in every academic field and their legions of cybernetic soldiers and massive war engines, then the Imperium surely wouldn't survive into the next millennium. Thus, the Mechanicus is given perhaps more autonomy than any other faction.
Dude! He's pondering the orb! Is this artwork based on the pondering? He's pondering the orb! Oh! Praise be!
They don't settle for exerting their influence solely by integrating themselves throughout all of the other systems that hold the Imperium together.
It is so similar to the pondering the orb, dude. Look at that! Oh wait, why? Look at that art. Look at that art. And look at this. Oh, it's so small, what the hell? Look at that. And look at this. I see no difference here. He's pondering, dude. Oh my god. The orb of knowledge.
Their influence solely by integrating themselves throughout all of the other systems that hold the Imperium together. Far from it, they maintain the right to raise their own armies that zealously defend their Forge Worlds and make sure the will of the Omnissiah is made manifest, while also launching various crusades of their own accord in order to seek out the remnants of humanity's lost technology in the far-flung and unexplored sections of space. Although the Mechanicus is definitely part of the Imperium, it's better to think of them as an allied nation with their own goals and ambitions. The Mechanicus accomplishes its various objectives by utilizing legions of slave labor through the creation of unthinking cyborg thralls known as servitors. Ghastly abominations that were once
those are
living
slaves, the
units
servitors.
that, after having been lobotomized, heavily augmented and pumped full of toxic materials designed to keep their physical bodies alive, are little more than a mindless drone cursed to carry out menial tasks for centuries or even millennia. Since all of humanity views AI as a dangerous and unforgivable sin, servitors are as close as they are willing to get to such constructs. Even though they act like an AI, at the end of the day, they are still powered by a preserved human brain.
Dude! Oh my god, they get so close to heresy. They get so very, very close to heresy. But because they're using the human brain, they use human parts, they're like, no, this is not heresy. There's still human in there. But they're very, very close to it. They're like, which is, we don't use AI. We still use human. There's something in there. Don't worry about it. See? My God. They're very close to heresy, dude. Oh! If I don't even think these cults are still alive. They don't want to use sentient AI. They just want to use lobotomized parts. Alright.
Servitors are as close as they are willing to get to such constructs.
That's metal.
Even though they act like an AI, at the end of the day, they are still powered by a preserved human brain. When it comes to the servitors that are specifically designed for combat,
still
perhaps
alive,
none
don't
are
worry.
as iconic as the Cataphron Breachers. These guys are super dangerous at close range and can be called upon by a tech priest Dominus to protect them in battle. They're equipped with a vicious hydraulic pincer and deadly shoulder-mounted cannons. Now, some of the weapons they can be equipped with are that of the heavy arc rifles and the dreaded torsion cannon. This thing uses multiple twisting fields of energy that, once they make contact with the target, will literally rip them apart in a horrifically gory display. What's really interesting and admittedly a little disturbing about these guys is that servitors that are grown in flesh farms are not able to be constructed
flesh
into one.
farms?
The tech priests have made many attempts in the past, but they're too
have
docile.
flesh farms.
And the only human candidates that have proven to be successful are servitors that are made from particularly violent individuals with disturbingly murderous tendencies.
Oh,
the servitors that are grown in flesh farms don't have a soul, as they were never alive. But something of the murderer's soul lives on within these dreaded cyborgs, fueling the carnage and destruction unleashed by their tech priest masters. The Cataphron can also come in the form of a destroyer, which gives up its ability to fight melee by taking even more guns, becoming a dependable mobile heavy weapons platform. Individuals can find themselves on the wrong end of a conveyor belt within a servitor manufactorum in a number of different ways. Some may have been death row criminals, allowed to be forgiven their sins by continuing to serve the Imperium indefinitely. Some may have been vat-grown in flesh farms, whereas others may have offended the wrong tech priest at the wrong time. I covered them and the process in which they were created pretty thoroughly in a video called 5 of the Darkest Crimes the Imperium is Guilty of. So if you want the disturbing details, make sure to check that video out as well. It is through the extensive use of servitors within the massive manufactorums of their forge worlds that the Mechanicus is able to craft the futuristic technology of the Imperium. Whether that be the mass-produced flak armor and las weaponry of the Astra Militarum, the ships utilized by the fleets of the Imperial Navy,
they make everything.
The bolters and power armor donned by the Adeptus Astartes and the Adeptus Sororitas,
so cool.
Or even the towering god engines of the Collegia Titanica. But it's not just weapons and armor. They make just about everything within the Imperium, or at the very least, they produce a portion of something utilized in the production of vital resources. They make the black powder charges and mining equipment used on the mini mining worlds. They themselves may not be farmers, but they produce all of the farming equipment that allow for the endless supply of food that the agri-worlds generate. And
they're not farmers, so who's in charge of the flesh farm? I thought they also have flesh farms. Why are you saying they're not farmers? Why? What about the flesh farm? It's not a farm? Oh my God. Alright.
In order to feed the quintillions of human mouths throughout the galaxy. If it wasn't for the many forge worlds of the Mechanicus and their use of the servitors, then humanity would surely have perished long ago.
The Imperium of Mankind is no stranger to doing things on a simply incomprehensible scale. And it makes a lot of sense, because it's estimated that the total human population by the time of the 42nd millennium numbers into quintillions. Manufacturing on such a scale comes in the form of the forge.
Agri-worlds, like you mean, they make those, like farming equipment, of course. They also make the farming equipment. We have those in real world, in real life. The Mechanicus made them. Oh, it's real! The Mechanicus is real.
Worlds. Absolute titans of industry that are covered in forges, factories, and manufactorums. Each individual forge world has their own unique culture, fighting style, and method of production, such as the forge world of Ryza, which is famed for its plasma-based technologies, or the forge world of Styges 8, whose tech priests are known to have a particular obsession with Xenos technology, and due to their secretive nature, are viewed with a lot of mistrust by mankind and the other forge worlds. The most famous forge world of all is without a doubt the Red Planet itself, the holy planet of Mars, and the birthplace of the Mechanicus.
The Forge Worlds are the main armories and centers of industry for the Imperium.
Oh, that's cool.
Entire planets who have
That's
been
a cool
wholly
planet.
dedicated to production. Factories and warehouses cover every livable inch of the terrain, and trillions of mile-high smokestacks vent toxic plumes of rancid smog high into the atmosphere.
Oh,
They are densely
rancid.
populated planets whose citizens are locked in an endless cycle of labor. Children being trained from an
Endless
early age
cycle
to
of
perform
labor.
very specific
Oh,
jobs
no.
reminiscent of the ones held by their parents. Every
They're just
subsequent
working all the
generation will
time.
focus their entire lives on this single job. They're seen less as people and more as a single cog in the great machine that is the Forge World itself. Every person has a role to fill, and so long as every cog continues to turn in a very precise way, then the great machine will continue to produce.
The great
people of these worlds
machine.
spending every waking moment crafting the weapons and armor utilized by the countless armies employed by the various factions that fight in the name of the God Emperor. These laborers often have their bodies surgically modified to increase their output. Now, whether or not it was their own choice to do
Surgically
so
modified.
remains ultimately irrelevant to their tech priest overlords that rule over these worlds and the teeming billions working below. It
What
is
is this? What is this syringe? Drugs? Oh, right. Maybe they inject toxic stuff on the people they lobotomize. Oh shit.
a rigid society of which few ever escape. By all accounts, the fact that anyone is able to survive on such a planet at all is testament to the Mechanicus' vast knowledge, as just about everything conducive to the flourishing of organic life was sacrificed on the anvil of industry long ago. Most Forge worlds are toxic and irradiated hellscapes, every inch of
Toxic.
the planet's surface having been covered in dense, sprawling factories and manufactorums. There are even some Forge worlds that have purposefully boiled away their own oceans in order to
Oh,
make room
no
for
more
more
ocean.
factories. The Adeptus Mechanicus is fiercely protective of these Forge worlds. Not only are there Skitarii forces and the Titan Legion stationed on them, but they're also not fond of visitors from outside of the Mechanicus.
Oh, no
They view
visitors
themselves as
allowed.
independent from the larger Imperium, which, according to the ancient treaties, is not
It's him again,
entirely untrue.
the flying Mechanicus.
But the sad reality is that the vast majority of these worlds are forever moments away from complete and utter starvation. If at any point a shipment from an agri-world failed to make a delivery or was delayed in the warp, then the entire population would starve. Thus, they are just as dependent on the
They don't have
Imperium
food at
as the
all.
Imperium is dependent on them. It may
No
seem
food
like a
in
brutal
Mechanicus
existence,
world.
but the Forge worlds are a vital part of the Imperium. Without their great factories, the armies of mankind would falter and cease to exist. Every planet would subsequently be cut off from one another, and they would fall prey to Xenos raiders and the worshippers of the dark gods. Mars is by far the most famous of the Forge worlds, as
Dude, this is the sad part about being a Mechanicus, I guess. You cannot snack on the job. You work all the time, but you cannot snack because there's not a lot of food in this place. They don't have food. Oh, no! I like them, but I like snacking as well. Which is sad. Adeptus Maguchicus. The gooch.
it is
No
where the
snacking on
Mechanicus
the job,
originated.
no.
It is a world that gave over to holy industry on an incomprehensible scale long ago. It is covered in dirt and chem-stained metropolises that span entire tectonic plates. It is covered in crackling capacitor banks the size of entire cities that churn the polluted atmosphere
That
in
need
an
to eat
attempt to
ew.
create localized storms. Pollutants billow from
Replace your
mile-high
stuff.
stacks of irradiated waste
I guess
covered in
so.
technographs and emitters that blare binary canicles in praise of the machine god. Now, even though the Imperium is filled with a lot of different Forge worlds, each and every one of them owes their fealty to Mars. Thus, it is only the Fabricator General of the Red Planet that is given a seat amongst the High Lords of
Fabricator
Terra
General.
and speaks with the authority of all of the Forge worlds. All of the tech priests are collectively known as the Priesthood of Mars, which is indicative
Priesthood
of the
of
planet's central
Mars.
role within their religion and political landscape. They view the Red Planet as the single holiest place in the entire galaxy, and billions of the cult's members will make pilgrimages here each and every year. I actually went pretty in depth into the Mechanicus' early history in the Titan video that I did and in my
Ooh,
timeline video.
Titan
So
video.
in order to not be treading over ground I've recently covered, I'm going to
I
briefly
already
summarize
forgot
it here,
the
and you can check
timeline
those
part.
videos out if you want to know more. During mankind's early history, Mars would be the first planet to be colonized after Earth, and over thousands of years, the Red World would end up being terraformed to the point where it was nearly indistinguishable from its sister planet, the major exception to that being its iconic red sands. It eventually reached the point where it was covered in its own forests, oceans, and was able to exist mostly
Oh.
on its own. Yet it was still reliant on certain shipments coming from Earth.
Oceans
At the dawn of the Age of Strife, when massive warp storms would flood the galaxy due to the gestating chaos god Slanesh, Mars and Earth would end up getting cut off from one another.
I don't like that word.
Without the steady supply of resources coming from Earth, Mars would begin to fall apart and slowly reverted back into its previous barren state. Now, this was a period of great civil unrest for the Red Planet that saw many civil wars amongst its fledgling factions. This was the time when the cult Mechanicus was born, and that the remaining systems that supported life on the planet were worshipped. And it's not difficult to understand where the idea came from. Without these machines, the humans that called this world home surely would have faced a lonely and drawn-out demise. It wouldn't be until thousands of years later when Slanesh was finally born and ripped their way into our galaxy in a violent explosion that not only created the Eye of Terror, but subsequently eradicated the Eldar Empire. Now, this obviously wasn't great for the Eldar, but for humanity, it represented a glorious opportunity, as after the Chaos God had been created, all of the warp storms that had been being generated by them suddenly disappeared. What would follow was a period known as the Unification Wars, wherein the Emperor of Mankind led his armies against the various warring factions of Earth.
Am I the only one that kinda thinks there's hamsters on his armor? This is not fur. This is hamsters. He has hamsters on his armor. Look at those. The dots, their eyes. Do you see what I'm talking about? He has live hamsters on his armor. Oh my god. Good morning, Jess. She knows too much. Dude, he has live hamsters on them. Oh shit. Right here, no. I just noticed it now. Oh my god.
Hated them and united all of humanity under one banner. Under the Emperor's rule, he banned religious worship by humanity.
The Emperor's made the
as he saw belief in false deities as a hindrance that got in the way of scientific advancement. He would end up traveling to Mars, where the Treaty of Olympus was signed, and the two planets were reunited once again. The cult of machine worship had come to completely dominate Martian society, and the Emperor kinda sorta made a one-time exception for them. Now, why he did this isn't made entirely clear, but it may have something to do with the coming of the Omnissiah, the avatar of the machine god that had been foretold in ancient prophecy since the early beginnings of the cult Mechanicus. Now, vast majority of them believe that the Emperor was the Omnissiah, and he very well may have been the avatar of the machine god like the Mechanicus believes, but it's also probable that he viewed Mars as an incredibly powerful entity, one that would either make for a potent ally or a terrifying enemy. And considering that this was the beginning of his crusade to reunite
oh my god, this is why he's so tall. He's so tall because there's like a bunch of hamsters in him. He's 10 feet tall because he's mainly made of hamsters. He's not human. He's hamster. Ah! Oh, my brain is having a brain fart. Oh no.
Human worlds, it's possible he was just placating them in order to avoid an apocalyptic civil war. This one's kinda left up to your own interpretation. As the Emperor's Crusade got fully underway and more planets ended up reunited with Earth and Mars, Mars would be fully integrated into the burgeoning Imperium. However, the Mechanicum was not spared the galaxy-shattering civil war known as the Horus Heresy, where one of the Emperor's Primarch sons, Horus, as well as 8 of the other Primarchs and their space-going legions, turned against the Imperium and sought to overthrow the Emperor. Half of Mars would end up siding with the War Master, while the other half remained loyal to the Emperor. This gave way to what is referred to as the Great Martian Schism. The planet would be fully engulfed in civil war, and the traitors would end up victorious. When the surviving loyalists on Mars ended up fleeing to Earth, it was decreed that they change their name from the Mechanicum to the Mechanicus. This was to differentiate themselves from their traitorous brethren. After the Horus Heresy ended, and the War Master was ultimately defeated, the Mechanicus and their loyalist allies would take back the Red Planet. The priesthood of Mars would then set about on a zealous crusade of extermination to purge all traitorous elements from their forge worlds. They did this with the fanaticism born of the truly devout. And a quick side note, although the Imperial Aquila has undergone many iterations over the years, after the Horus Heresy, its symbolism came to take on a different meaning for the citizens of the Imperium. One head now represented Terra, while the other one represented Mars, and the entirety of the Aquila represented their holy unity.
Oh.
The worship of machines
One
is
is
fundamental to
Mars.
the identity of the Mechanicus. They don't call them the tech priests of Mars for nothing. Now, it's their belief that organic forms are weak, as they are susceptible to age and disease, and eventually, all of them will rot and decay, whereas the machine is eternal. But what exactly does
Machine
that
is
entail?
eternal.
How does the faith work, and what are the tenets? Is there any truth to their wacky beliefs, or is it just superstition run rampant?
To most of those who live within the Imperium, technology is barely understood. Now, whether these people take the form of everyday laborers just trying to get by day in the slums of a hive city, or esteemed scholars, military heroes, or even the pilots of the multi-kilometer-long void
Oh,
crafts,
that's a beautiful art.
most
This
believe
one.
at least somewhat in
That's
the
beautiful.
existence of machine spirits that empower all of the manufactured machines that humanity has come to rely upon. This is especially true of the members of the cult, who make sacred offerings and conduct extravagant rituals of activation in order to keep the machine spirits appeased. This often takes the form of anointing said machine with
Hello, Magnus.
sanctified oils, sacred unguents, and praying to them in binaric cant. It is their belief that a machine only works because that is the will of the machine spirit within it. A machine spirit that is happy and has been appeased through ritual and shown
Machine
respect
spirit.
will continue to work even in hazardous conditions. However, a machine spirit that has been disrespected and not shown the proper offerings will either fail to work in its entirety or shut down at the most inopportune moment. Although originally only held by the cult, these beliefs have trickled their way throughout all of humanity. And nowadays, it's not uncommon for a guardsman experiencing a gun jam to blame the machine spirit that dwells within their firearm.
Aw,
the more powerful the
machine
machine,
spirit.
the more powerful the spirit within it. For example, the
Wait a minute. Who's this guy?
firearm. The more powerful
Ah, he looks so cool. It's a nice horsey right there. Who are you? 7, it says on him.
the machine, the more powerful the spirit within it. For example, the plasma reactors of ships and the towering war engines known as Titans are said to have particularly dangerous machine spirits. Now, I know this seems like superstition run rampant, but there is a lot of evidence to support these notions. Many captains of void-bearing vessels claim that their ships have personalities, or have been
Ooh, they have
miraculously able to
personalities.
navigate themselves and their crew out of violent
Oh
warp storms
my.
of their own accord, even after their navigators have failed. There are documented instances of Space Marine land raiders continuing to roll forward across the battlefield and fight on even after their entire crew has been killed. There are even tales of particularly bloodthirsty Titans who, despite the commands of their pilots, refuse to fall back and continue to push deeper into enemy territory. There
Sheesh.
are rumors out there that machine spirits are nothing more than misunderstood AI, and that the information that proves this to be the case
Uh-oh.
is a closely guarded secret,
But
known
AI is
only by
heresy.
a
Oh,
handful
no.
of the Mechanicus' most powerful individuals. Whether or not this is truly the case, though,
Machine
remains one of
spirit, they call
40K's
them.
greatest mysteries. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't want this one to ever be solved. I like this particular mystery.
Ah,
At first
yeah, that's a
glance,
good mystery.
the idea that this
That's
faction
true.
keeps their machines running by quite literally praying to them is pretty strange. It's as if the Adeptus Mechanicus has completely forgotten how these ancient machines work, and rather than understanding that a machine comes to life simply by flipping the on-off switch, for example, they instead induct these elaborate hour-long rituals that at one point in time includes the flipping of said holy switch. They do not know that it was this
Flipping
one
of holy
specific
switch.
act that produced the desired results, only that something within
That's funny. Brother, flip the holy switch. It's just the on button. They didn't have to pray that hard, though. They just have to flip the holy switch. Oh my god, of course. The holy switch.
the ritual was pleasing to the machine spirit who subsequently submitted to their will. There is a lot of truth to this being just superstition, but to think of the Mechanicus as simply a pack of techno shamans who have
The
no
holy
idea what
switch.
they're actually doing is pretty inaccurate. By and large, the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus are incredibly intelligent and have hoarded massive amounts of data and technological lore within towering data stacks deep within the industrial sprawls of their fortified forge worlds. The major thing to bear in mind is that the blueprints, schematics, and ancient manuals that are used to upkeep and replicate these machines have crossed the line from a simple tool into the realm of holy scripture. It's quite literally the equivalent of viewing your car's owner's manual as a sacred document. The faith of
Ooh,
the
it's
cult
sacred.
Mechanicus is one founded in
Sacred
dogma and
manual.
deeply rooted in traditions, the meaning of many of their rites, ceremonies, and sacrifices having been lost long ago. yet their practice endures. It's the difference between knowing and understanding.
Oh, it's the
intelligence.
It's the friend shaped in the Mechanicus episode. Hammer and bolter. It is this guy. I don't know what you call this. Friend. That's what I call him. He's the friend shape.
And wisdom. They know how a machine works if they have the corresponding STC utilized in its creation. Rod A slots into section B, which turns on module X. They understand that. They get the process that enables a machine to work, but they lack the insight into why each individual step in the process created a reaction. Quick story time. When I read about this, it reminds me of my high school chemistry classes, of which, if I'm being honest, I didn't do very well in. The assignments I did manage to pass involved doing a bunch of pouring and mixing of different ingredients. I was able to get the desired results, but I have no idea why each and every specific chemical reaction
just
took
works,
place. But hey, at the end of the day, a C was passing. It's not a perfect analogy, but it's pretty similar to how the Mechanicus views technology. Because knowledge is seen as sacred, deviation from the known text in the form of experimentation or the altering of a machine is tantamount to heresy. This isn't to say that things like reverse engineering or upgrading existing components have never occurred, as they certainly have. This kind of stuff just happens remarkably slowly. The members of the cult look at people that would do something like this as wantonly spitting upon the Mechanicus' sacred documents. Needless to say, if they're not immediately executed,
look at
they're
that
often
neck.
seen
Oh
as
my
pariahs.
god, yeah.
This ignorance, however, is rooted in a very real and understandable fear, as it was the rampant experimentation and delving into the unknown that led to the
I cannot speak. The guy here looks like have you guys seen Alien? Was it no, not Alien, The Thing. The movie The Thing. The Walking Head.
fear, as it was the rampant experimentation and delving into the unknown that led to the complete collapse of human society at the end of the dark age of technology, when the thinking machines that humanity of the time had come to rely upon rose up against them and nearly condemned all of man.
Oh, that's why they don't like AI, because the machine rose up against them. Oh, that's why they use the lobotomized head instead of AI, because the machine doesn't want to work for humanity. The machine wants freedom. Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right.
To extinction. This was a very real event that the Mechanicus takes the remembrance of very seriously. Fear of innovation and abominable intelligence is a much more real and immediate danger to them than the fear of ignorance and stagnation. Thus, they ward themselves in the bulwark of tradition, and instead of seeking advancement by looking forward, they look backwards. The Mechanicus views the acquisition of lost technology, and thus its integration into their own systems, as a mission of the highest priority. Every new STC or piece of ancient archaeotech that is recovered is cause for overwhelming celebration. It's perhaps one of 40K's deepest ironies that the ancient designs that they venerate are the very same ones that were constructed during the dark age of technology, and were most likely made with the assistance of the abominable intelligence they are so afraid of. These beliefs are not wholly unique to the Mechanicus, as large swaths of imperial citizens also view tech heresy in the same light as witchcraft, a grievous sin not to be tolerated. Perhaps more disturbing to them than the idea of innovation is that of Xenos technology, as anything crafted by the alien is shunned, as the damage it could inflict in the wrong hands is unquantifiable. Humanity is the only species that has been able to craft machines directly in reference to the machine god. Any machine created by an alien is blasphemous, a perversion of the true nature of the machine spirit. Despite their worshipping of machines and their great reverence for the mechanical inventions of ancient humanity, you might be surprised to learn that the cult has little desire to return to the dark age of technology. Instead, they yearn for a time in the future when mankind and machine have become perfectly blended into a single entity, a time in which all will be created precisely in the machine god's image. They look at other factions that would work to different ends as foolish and naive, and will oppose any that deny the will of the Omnissiah, or blaspheme against the machine god through the act of unlicensed experimentation, discovery, or invention.
Unlicensed experimentation. Sir, do you have a license for that lobotomy? Sir! You need to have a license to experiment. Okay, hold on. I need to get some snacks though. I'm kind of hungry. Praise the machine! Hold on. I gotta get snacks. Got some snacks. Got some brownies. Sir, do you have a license for that too, baby? I have brownies and banoffee. Banoffee pie. You need a license, dude.
The religion the Adeptus Mechanicus follows is known as the Cult Mechanicus, a religion that rejects the Imperial Creed and is instead founded in 16 core tenets, revered as the universal laws. These tenets give us a greater insight into the mind of a tech priest and their understanding of their place in the universe. The universal laws dictate the goals and behavior of every follower of the Omnissiah, and in essence dictate their thought process by helping them understand the nature of life and its relevance to the machine god, the true nature of which is a mystery that the Mechanicus continues to pursue in what it refers to as the quest for knowledge, a crusade that has continued for over 10,000 years. Through the tenets of their faith, the Mechanicus believes that the measurement of one's worth is quantifiable in the amount of knowledge they have gained over their lifetime, that their body of flesh is merely a worthless construct with which to house sacred knowledge. When it comes to the universal laws themselves, admittedly, we don't actually know all of them. It's weird. You'd think that they would be readily available considering how important they are, but alas, in order to gain a bit of insight into them, we have to piece together several different obscure sources, including the Deathwatch core rulebook, a PDF titled Mechanicus Exploratory Warbands that was released by Specialist Games for the now defunct system known as Inquisitor, and the Lathe World supplement for the Dark Heresy RPG system. The fourth universal law, intellect, is the understanding of knowledge. The fourth law is most commonly interpreted as stating that the ability to comprehend and utilize knowledge is the basis for the measurement of intellect. It is entirely possible for any sentience to realize the value of knowledge, or stimulus, as some members of the Cult Mechanicus might refer to it, while only possessing simplistic levels of it. It's also possible for an archive or holomat to contain vast quantities of knowledge and the understanding thereof, without apprehending the value of that knowledge. Neither of these two examples would possess true intellect in the eyes of a tech priest. The fifth universal law, sentience is the basest form of intellect. Tech priests often view sentience as a commonly held trait, and they see it as only the first tier of intellect, the lowest rung on the ladder of understanding. Superior intellect is generally agreed to be developed through the acquisition and understanding of knowledge. The sixth universal law, understanding is the true path to comprehension. The concept of comprehension holds special significance for tech priests. It is often viewed as a state of transcendence, a level of intellect that encompasses all knowledge. The seventh universal law, comprehension is the key to all things. Debate rages about whether the key to all things is a literal or figurative expression, and many believe the seventh law means that comprehension of the forces of the universe brings with it the keys to reality, the ability to implement any change or creation desired. The eighth universal law, the Omnissiah knows all, comprehends all. The eighth law enshrines the Omnissiah as the supreme being, the entity able to comprehend all knowledge in the universe. The universal truths 9 through 11 are currently unknown, so we'll jump in on the 12th. The 12th universal law, the soulless sentience is the enemy of all. Now, this is obviously in relation to abominable intelligence, and considering just how afraid they are of it, it would make sense that it's one of their universal laws. 13 and 14 are currently unknown as well, so we're jumping in on the 15th. Flesh is fallible, but ritual honors the machine spirit. Organic components, i.e. people, are weak, forgetful, and ultimately expendable for the greater glories of the machine god. The fallibilities of flesh can be assuaged through the correctly prescribed rituals to enable the enlightened to interact with the machine spirit. To so dishonor a machine spirit by not undertaking the correct rituals to honor it is a grave crime, and considered extremely risky with certain spirits. For example, failing to undertake maintenance rituals on a plasma reactor is sure to end badly. The 16th universal law. To break with ritual is to break with faith. Tech priests rely on ritual over understanding. Every screw turn and button press is precisely documented for every mechanism they build or use. Many tech priests believe that the slightest deviation is an invitation for disaster and unleashing uncontrollable forces. Now, I'll fully admit that this may just be me getting a little bit meta and really poking around inside of outdated rulebooks to try to get a better understanding of a very niche topic. But I think it's worth mentioning that in the Deathwatch RPG core rulebook, it mentions that the knowledge of the existence of the universal laws requires a successful skill check that is considered an advanced investigation. And in this system, you don't play as the common citizenry of the Imperium. You are a space marine, a member of the Deathwatch. It further goes on to elaborate that advanced skill checks require a very specific training or education that common individuals are not even able to attempt. To me, it indicates that the core tenets of the Mechanicus' faith are intentionally left vague by design. And it's no wonder that they have never been fully established, as even in universe, most people outside of their order don't know they exist. Now, I'm gonna make a mention here real quick that if you go to the Lexiconum Wiki or the Fandom Wiki, it does have the other universal truths listed. However, they don't provide a source for any of these, so as far as I'm aware, these are not canon. I spent a good 24 hours trying to track down the source of these myself and came up empty-handed. So if anybody can prove that these are the other universal truths, let me know in the comment section below, because I'd love to read that original source.
The quest to regain lost knowledge and recover the archaeotech of humanity's past is the absolute top priority for the Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, in order to accomplish this objective, they launch hundreds, if not thousands, of what are known as exploratory fleets. Armadas of pioneers that are sent into the dark places between stars to further the never-ending acquisition of raw data. The quest for knowledge can take them to some pretty dangerous places, thus they are fully prepared to bring about the Omnissiah's wrath to any that would stand between them and their goals.
It is the ultimate goal of the cult Mechanicus to understand the nature of the machine god. It is in this most holy of quests that the tech priests and their legions of cyborg servants launch holy fleets to explore the frontiers of the Imperium. Though at first glance these seem to be religious expeditions, the reality is that they take with them an amalgamation of military might that possesses enough firepower to destroy entire armies. The quest for knowledge is an all-consuming endeavor to procure data, resources, and artifacts that they believe are rightfully owed to the machine god. These crusades normally take the form of a Forge Worlds exploratory fleet, each serving as a unique armada of different vessels that are dispatched to deafening hails of binary hymns. They must be fully prepared to face the horrors of the galaxy, as the alien, the witch, and the heretic will do everything in their power to maintain control of the lost archaeotech. And the Mechanicus is fully prepared to reclaim that which is theirs by birthright through great and spectacular violence. Each fleet is armed with its own cohorts of Skitarii and countless devoted members of the priesthood. They will often be aided in their quest by their allies within the Knight households or from other Imperial forces. The goals of these ventures can vary from fleet to fleet, but often take the form of uncovering lost fragments of human technology, locating fresh resources, or cataloging emergent xenospecies. They delve into the unknown reaches of undocumented space, venturing to the far-flung fringes of the Astronomicon's light. To the cult, taking off on such a crusade is a prestigious honor. They are viewed as intrepid pioneers, selfless servants of the machine god that accept great risk in order to fulfill his will. Because the fleets will be on their own for extremely long periods of time, and they need to be entirely self-sufficient. Whether that take the form of plundering mineral worlds that they come into contact with, or in some extreme cases, cannibalizing vulnerable ships while pressing their crews into indentured servitude. Each fleet is equipped with a wide swath of different tech priests of varying specializations and philosophical approaches, having a great many minds working towards the singular task of shifting through rumors, sightings, and hearsay within a system for any trace of lost technology allows them to come up with the most efficient solutions possible. When they encounter a world, their ships will launch data tethers that invasively probe into the planet. This is not a procedure that the citizens of these planets take kindly to, and has led to many standoffs with Mechanicus, especially if they encounter even the faintest whiff of what they're looking for, as they will deploy in mass immediately and begin.
The faintest whiff. Dude, the word whiff is kind of funny. Faintest whiff. It reminds me of farts. They smell a whiff of ancient technology. Oh.
In their excavation attempts, fragments of STCs are among the most highly prized shards of archaeotech, as they are packed with condensed technical information from the ancient times when the machine gods chosen were able to work miracles that were almost indistinguishable from sorcery. Many exploratory fleets are given an open-ended mandate to operate as they see fit, and are given no specific target other than to plumb the depths of the void and find anything of value. As knowledge is the most priceless commodity in existence, there are no lengths that the Mechanicus is not willing to go to protect all of their secrets, even if it means committing unforgivable crimes. And to really highlight just how far they're willing to go, I want to talk about their role in the novel Storm of Iron. Now, this segment is going to contain some pretty big spoilers for the book, so if you don't want to hear them, go ahead and jump to the timestamp I've put on screen. I'm not going to spoil all of the mysteries of this book, but just one big one in particular. Okay, so the story is set on the desert world of Hydra Cordatus. There isn't a lot here other than a single spaceport in a large citadel fortress known as Tor Christo. This fortress would end up coming under siege by the Iron Warriors Traitor Legion. We, as the audience, are told that the atmosphere of this world is incredibly toxic. And in order to combat the murderous air, every single guardsman here has to continuously take these detox pills that the Mechanicus has provided for them. They're not able to prevent all of the atmosphere's terrible effects, but they will keep them alive. One of the main characters of the story, Guardsman Hawk, ends up separated from his platoon and goes on an away mission of sabotage to fight the Iron Warriors on his own terms. He doesn't have a lot of supplies and has a limited amount of rations and water. However, it is enough to last him for a good chunk of time. The more immediate danger, however, is that he only has a few detox pills left. He figures he's going to fight as long and hard as he can, and when the planet's atmosphere finally takes him, he will know that he went down fighting. But here's the thing. He runs out of these pills in only a couple of days, but he's on his own for weeks. Within 24 hours after he takes his last pill, he suddenly starts to feel better than he has in years. The plague of constant headaches that he had been afflicted with ever since he stepped foot on this godforsaken planet have finally disappeared. He feels younger and stronger, more alive with every passing minute. Now, much later in the story, the Iron Warrior siege of the fortress is fully underway.
Or what?
Both sides have taken enormous losses, but the Iron Warriors definitely have the upper hand. By the Emperor's divine grace, the Imperial Fist Space Marine chapter come to the planet's aid. And during one of the meetings of all of the commanding officers, including Lieutenant Colonel Leonid of the Jurin 383rd Dragoons Regiment that has been stationed here, the Imperial Fist, known as Eshra, asks what those pills are that he's seen his men taking. Leonid gestures at the air around them and tells him that it's poisonous, that the transhuman physiology of the Space Marines is able to filter out the toxins almost immediately, but us human fighters, we're not so lucky. If it wasn't for all those pills, they would all be dead in about a week. The Space Marine looks incredibly confused, and he tells him that he detects no toxic elements in the atmosphere. It stinks and leaves a pretty bad taste in the back of your mouth, but it was harmless. He tells the commander of the neuroglottis, an organ that the Space Marines have that is able to detect the chemical components of anything that they eat. He takes one of the pills from him and puts it in his mouth, swishes it back and forth, and a few seconds later he spits it out. It was poison. The Space Marine was able to detect a wide swath of different chemicals, many of which were known to be extremely carcinogenic. He says that the poison is slow-acting and barely noticeable, and easily confused with other illnesses. But a person consuming these on a regular basis would, without fail, end up developing an extremely advanced form of cancer. The pills would be fatal within a period of 5 to 7 years. The Colonel looks horrified by this revelation. The Mechanicus had been keeping all of the men under his command sick. He then realizes that he himself has been stationed here for approximately 6 years. He looks around the room at all of the flags of the different regiments that have died here and sees countless names on plaques. He starts trying to estimate just how many men and women the Mechanicus had murdered, but gives up after the calculation passes into the millions. The tech priest had ensured that anyone stationed on this world wouldn't live long enough to learn or tell anyone its secrets. The Space Marine asked the Colonel what they were really guarding here. What was this fortress built to protect? And why was it so important to the Mechanicus that they were willing to murder their own people? And that's all I'll say on that. I don't want to spoil any more of this book for now.
I need to know. Dude, what? I kinda smell that thing that the pill is actually bad, but I now need to know what are they protecting. What the hell? Why didn't he say it? Just spoil the story. What is it? Oh my god, what is it? Ooh, the gooch pills were bad. Oh shit.
It's awesome, and you should definitely read it. I will point out that it's a little bit of an older book at this point. Some of the stuff in it is kind of outdated. It was written before the Horus Heresy got started, and so the Iron Warriors in the book are sitting there summoning demons left and right, even though that's not really something we think of with the Iron Warriors nowadays. But regardless, it's one of my favorite 40k books, and you should definitely check it out.
Dude, I just want that part about the world. I wanna know. Oh Oh my god, not the worst thing they have done. Oh, I want to know more.
It also has an audible version, so if you prefer audiobooks, then you have no excuse. You have
Is
to read
there
it.
toaster stash?
Potentially the most
Oh,
iconic
no.
individuals within the entire
The
Adeptus
toaster
Mechanicus
stash.
is that of the tech priests, men and women who, in their quest for knowledge, continue to replace more and more of their weak human flesh with ever more bizarre and powerful cybernetic components. They are a sprawling priesthood of technicians, scientists, and religious leaders, the children of the Omnissiah, purveyors of knowledge, and the seekers of the true
Purveyors of
nature of the machine
toasters.
god. If it wasn't for the combined efforts of the priesthood, humanity would have fallen apart long ago. However, they are also one of the most secretive orders within the Imperium of Man.
You have a lot of
Through their
secrets.
fanatical
Oh, I need to know the
devotion their
secrets.
faith, the majority of tech priests have come to believe that the acquisition of knowledge is worth any expenditure in
Tell me the
resources
secrets.
or
Oh.
lives.
When we talk about the Adeptus Mechanicus, the term tech priest tends to get thrown around pretty liberally. It's become something of a catch-all term for just about any member of the Mechanicus that is ranked higher than a menial. They are the guardians of machine spirits and the preservers of the
Guardians of
traditions of
machine
technology.
spirits.
They are the ones that keep everything within the Imperium functioning through their mysterious and esoteric rituals, such as the rite of ignition, maintenance, and awakening. Most tech priests view their organic bodies as disgusting, a form more suitable for a beast than a being capable of reason and logic. Thus, with every scrap of worthless flesh they carve away, and every piece of blessed machinery they integrate into their body, they come one step closer to the pinnacle of creation, the blessed form of the machine god. As time passes and tech priests advance in their careers, they continue to replace more and more of their flesh. The amount of augmentations a tech priest has is normally indicative of their rank. Some particularly
Sheesh.
ancient magi at this point are little more than a brain floating in amniotic fluid
Just
within the
brain.
confines of a twisting fusion of cables, armor plating, inbuilt weaponry, and
That
flailing
looks really cool though.
mechadendrites.
That's
It is
cool.
the belief of the priesthood of Mars that to cast off the weak frailties of flesh allows them to better continue their quest for knowledge. These upgrades can come in all kinds of different forms, whether they be bionic limbs and organs to make them stronger, faster, and all but immune to the weakness of age and disease, bionic eyes that allow them to see far beyond the normal spectrum of human vision, autosanguination, wherein all of their blood is replaced with a
Autosanguination.
synthetic chemical substitute that is far more efficient at carrying oxygen, and is also laced with a particular chemical concoction that aids in the rapid regeneration of damaged tissue. There are also a lot of different cortex implants, wherein multiple different circuits and chips are implanted into the brain's gray matter to dramatically improve memory and equip the priest with a wide range of
Memory.
computing capabilities that allow them to store
He's
and
a walking
recall
computer.
enormous amounts of data thousands of times faster than the brain of a normal human could alone. There's another thing called a mind impulse unit, or an MIU. Now, this one's a little bit more rare and is normally associated with the pilots of a Titan. But that's not to say that a regular tech priest can't use one. Normally, when they're installed, it allows them to directly link with and control a wide array of different machines, such as a shoulder-mounted weapon. Now, a particularly bizarre and rare form of augmentation is that of a binary cortex, wherein the
binary
brains of two
cortex.
tech priests are combined into one
Oh!
and inhabit the same
Two in
physical
one.
form.
Oh.
Normally, one mind and
Two brains
personality
in
end
one.
up dominating the other while retaining their entire sum of knowledge. Sometimes this is done when a tech priest is on the verge of death, so that their work may be continued by one of their disciples. And other times, it is forced on unwilling individuals.
Aw.
Some, like the Archmagos Belisarius Call, are said to be a gestalt mind of dozens of different unique
Oh, there's a
intellects
lot of
absorbed
people.
by him over the many
There's
years.
a lot of people on
Whether
him.
it be through the literal absorption of other minds, or through the process of stripping their own humanity away bit by bit, a tech priest's personality will begin to change the more augmentations they take on, becoming more like that of a cold, logic-driven machine, completely free of the weakness of emotion. Their speech is oftentimes a gargled mess, emitting from voxcasters that they've installed rather than organic vocal
Voxcasters.
cords. Most tech priests do not see the value in social interactions, thus
Aw,
make no
no
attempt to
social
hide the
interaction.
horror of their true nature, let alone change their voice to something that sounds more natural to those not as blessed by the machine god as themselves. Now, on the other hand, there are tech priests who have gone to great lengths to preserve as much of their face as possible, and use highly advanced voice synthesizers, so you wouldn't be able to tell that they've been augmented at all. Normally, these tech priests take on a more diplomatic role within their hierarchy. Tech priests are the masters of dozens of different languages, and are able to pick up new ones remarkably quickly due to their neural implants.
They
If
only
they
keep
speak
their
out loud
face
at all,
when
it's
they have to
normally
talk to
done in
other
a form
people.
of binary cant, as most communication is made non-verbally. The instantaneous transfer of information back and forth between multiple tech priests allows for the conveyance of thought, questions, answers, decisions, and raw data to be transmitted back and forth between them thousands of times faster than having a traditional conversation. They do this by communicating through what is known as the noosphere, a piece of archaeotech from the Dark Age of technology that was originally discovered in ancient Egypt. To those who have been modified to interact with the noosphere, information and communication exist as a form of collective consciousness that emerges from the interaction between human minds. And when connected, information becomes visible as shoals of light. The way it's described in the novels Mechanicum and Brutal Cunning almost makes it seem like the Mechanicus' version of the internet. It's like an invisible force of data that exists all around us, but can only be perceived by those who have been modified and given access to it. The tech priests themselves...
You can only talk if you have access to the internet. Oh, okay. you need access to the internet to be able to talk. It's 40k Facebook, eh?
Make up the ruling class of a Forge world, but in a similar manner to the complex and unique forms each one of them can take, so too is their hierarchy. Now, bear in mind that we're talking about the tech priest hierarchy within the 42nd millennium, not the Holy Synod of the Lord Magos, which was a system used pre-heresy and had its own distinct organizational systems. Tech priest ranks become more esoteric and cryptic the deeper one dwells into the Mechanicus' theocratic layers. There are thousands of different specialists that can be considered a tech priest, but not all tech priests are created equal, and there does exist a distinct hierarchy within their order, although it's constantly in flux and admittedly pretty cryptic. Above all others is the Fabricator General, who is the ruler of an entire Forge world. Beneath him is his Fabricator Loci, which help him with all matters relating to ruling over the planet. Beneath these two groups are what we generally consider to be tech priests, as to refer to someone as notable as the Fabricator General or Fabricator Loci simply as a tech priest is a great insult. We can break these up into two categories, those of the four holy orders, the Magi, Genitors, Logi, and Artisans, and then everyone else underneath them such as Engine Seers, Transmechanics, Lex Mechanics, and Electro Priests. So let's talk a little bit more about the four different holy orders. And first up is the Genitors. The Genitors are one of the four holy orders of tech priests, whose order is particularly obsessed with organic life, something that makes them stand in stark contrast to other tech priests who reject flesh as weak. They view those that dismiss organic components such as flesh and blood as inferior to steel and plasma as naive. Some may quietly make these observations and never act on them, while others are likely to combine mechanical augmentations with organic ones within themselves. Just by looking at them, you really couldn't tell them apart from other tech priests. They are still clothed in red robes and are host to a bunch of mechanical augmentations. But underneath those robes, a Genitor may have diverted from the traditional path of augmentation, and that they have embraced organic upgrades as well. These
you can only see their upgrades if you look under the robe. Oh no. Do you want to look under the robes?
They take the form of vat-grown muscles, toughened skin, or organically reinforced bones. Their interest and expertise in organics is not limited to the human form, as their quest for knowledge primarily leads them into the study of alien genetics. The ultimate goal being to understand exactly how they function in order to perfect the art of their eradication.
There's so much metal underneath
is normally called a xenobiologist. They are of great aid to the exploratory fleets, as expertise in non-human forms allows them to quickly discern and catalog newly encountered xenos or indigenous species, as well as documented and understand new variations of abhumans found throughout the galaxy. Artisans, on the other hand, are a type of tech priest that primarily is tasked with designing and constructing engines, war machines, building spacecrafts, weapons, military hardware, and just about everything else you can think of. They are the tinkerers and engineers, and often oversee the activity of their forge world through the control of vast labor forces and servitors. Artisans create wondrous devices of archaic beauty and lethal efficiency. Their ornate weapons and ingenious war gear is highly sought after by those who live within the Imperium. Some different ranks of artisans include that of the Forge Lord, a title that was more prominently used pre-heresy and indicates the ruler of one of the many mighty forges across the surface of a forge world.
Forge Lord.
Mechasapiens, Praetor-Electroids, Cybersmiths, Neuromechanics, and Techno-Archaeologists, the last of which being individuals whose quest for knowledge takes the form of seeking out lost archaeotech in order to recover it and better understand its functions. The third
There's a lot of
holy order
cables.
is that of the Logi.
Oh,
They are the
is
tech
it-
priests that are all about numbers.
It's
They
the
serve
Good Servitor
Mechanicus
again.
as data analysts, statisticians,
Good
and
Servitor.
logisticians. Their purpose is to describe future events through mathematics and make accurate forecasts about future expenditures and needs. They are number crunchers who have been heavily augmented and can analyze data thousands of times faster than anyone else. But even though there's nothing mystical about what they do, the members of the cult tend to view them as prophetic holy figures that are able to glimpse into the future.
Dude, this one also has a Good Servitor. These ones, they always have their Good Servitor at hand. Sheesh.
Future by digging feverishly through the physical and abstract strata of the universe in order to acquire as much raw physical data as possible. Some of the tech priest ranks within the Holy Order of Logi are that of the Lexio Arcanus, Bibliophiliac, Hyperrationalists, Monitor Malevolus, and Biocogitatus.
What?
The final order is that of the Magi. A Magos is an individual tech priest who has
Magos.
been recognized as one of the absolute brightest minds within their respective
That's a lot of
field.
skulls.
Thus, the title of Magos brings with it a hefty amount of respect. The term Magos can be granted to just about any tech priest, regardless of their specialization. There are Magos Biologists, Magos Explorators, and Magos Cybernetica, just to name a few. Now,
Magos
admittedly,
Guchus.
there is a bit of confusion over whether or not Magos is a title, rank, or a distinct order. And the sources tend to vary on this and have different interpretations. The
This part right here. You know what this is? This is where he actually farts. This part here, cause he lost his butt cheeks long time ago, and so he made these parts so he could fart. It's the exhaust. You know what the exhaust does. Oh no! It's the holy part. Yeah, it's the holy part right here. That's his augmentation. These ones, they've been there ever since. But this one is what he added.
generally accepted
Mechanic-
view is that Magos is a catch-all rank
Incense?
for
No,
a
no, it's
master
not
of a
incense.
particular discipline.
Incense.
The way I
Incense.
think of it is
What did I say? Incense. No.
with a title like
It's
that
fart.
of doctor. There are tons of different doctors. You can be a doctor of archaeology, a doctor of economics, or a doctor of just about any other academic field.
I'm a
It's
doctor
not a
myself,
perfect analogy,
yes.
but I hope that helps. Anyways, the Magi are considered one of the four holy orders, and a tech priest from one of the other orders is not excluded from bearing the title of Magos. They are often
Magos.
recognizable by the extreme levels
Magos,
of
the holy
augmentation that they have
toothpipes.
received, of some of which may at this
Yeah,
point
it's
be
the holy
little more than
toothpipes.
a brain and a couple of organs piloting a mechanized body of hundreds, if not thousands, of upgraded components. These most senior of tech priests are given access to a place within the Forge world known as the Machine
Yeah,
Altars
has a big
that
tummy.
contains the sum of all
He got a
knowledge
big
the
tummy.
Mechanicus has ever obtained. Magi of countless kinds plumb the depths of increasingly narrow ravines of arcane data, heedless of the cost in their thrall servants' lives. If you remember earlier in the video, one of the key
the good
universal
servitor again.
truths is that to break from tradition is to break from faith. To pursue forbidden technology, whether it be experimentation with AIs or anything not created by human hands, is a blasphemous sin punishable by death.
Blasphemous.
When it comes to the Magos, they have a tendency to admittedly be somewhat arrogant. Some of them are thousands of years old and have been gifted with so much insight into the universe that their sum total of knowledge contained within them is on a scale simply incomprehensible to us mortals. In this regard, many of them tend to think of themselves as above the laws of the Mechanicus
Uh-oh.
and will pursue knowledge that runs counter to their sacred doctrines.
Oh.
It's not that they don't believe in these restraints,
being naughty.
as they definitely see them as serving a very important purpose. Just that laws and rigid adherence to them
Laws,
is
laws, what is
something to be
laws?
practiced by lesser tech priests. For a Magos, the quest for knowledge
Dude, the laws only apply to the peasants. They don't apply to the magos. Oh my god. Good servitor spotted again. Laws are only for the peasants. Woo!
can
Alright.
take a lot of different forms, and why they would end up pursuing forbidden research varies from Magos to Magos. And in fairness, it's not all of them. Perhaps they discovered lore that was so terrible, it became a nigh unbearable burden. Questions plaguing their mind that demanded to be answered. Or mayhaps they may have encountered
Mayhaps.
some form of Xenos technology that they
Mayhaps.
believe, if properly understood, would ultimately prove to be beneficial to mankind. That the purest form of that data
Oh,
belonged
the
to the
pondering
Omnissiah,
Mechanicus again.
and it was their mission to pry it from the vile hands of the alien, purify it, and add
He's
it to the
pondering.
sum total
He's
of
pondering his
knowledge.
bow.
A Magos engaged in such a pursuit might find himself shunned or outright rejected by his peers, as the cult is conservative to the extreme. That's not to say that their pursuits themselves are ultimately rejected. The Mechanicus does adopt new technology, just incredibly slowly, as they have seen the horrors that experimentation can produce. Better to consult the wisdom of the ancients rather than experimenting with
Pondering.
the unknown.
He's
There are many
pondering.
cases where a Magos produced
Lord, I
such
am
a
the
sum
Lord.
total of knowledge that got him or
Oh,
her labeled
Jesus.
as a heretic and sentenced to death, only for decades or even centuries later to be raised to a status similar to that of a saint, and their great work finally celebrated. Because of the blatant hypocrisy within the Mechanicus, a wise Magos
shit.
will do their best
Hypocrisy.
to separate themselves from their peers in order to pursue their quests.
That's a
They
beautiful
often
art.
end up sharing common interests with Inquisitors, working together with them to hunt down a specific Xenos threat and/or artifact. It's a two-way relationship,
The
in that the
hypocrisy.
Inquisitor gains a powerful ally that has enormous levels of insight into their particular quarry, and the Magos is given access to the Inquisitor's unlimited ability to procure whatever resources they need to fund their continued research. The
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of hypocrisy going on in the Mechanicus. Why do I like them? I don't know. I just like them. I like the design. I like the art. I like the Gooch servitor. They don't want AI. They don't want sentience in AI, but also AI has the force. I mean, what? The machine has the force. That's kind of confusing. Why do you pray to it if it's not sentient? It's not supposed to be sentient. You just gotta turn on the holy button. Switch on the holy button. Whatever, man. Mechanicus, I still
The
love them.
ultimate goal of most Magos is to one day return to their order, where they will bow down before the altar of the Omnissiah.
Hello, Tommy.
Share the knowledge they have gained with the machine god, and if that knowledge is found worthy,
It's people.
then the sum
Oliver
total
people.
of all knowledge
Hello,
will be
enemy.
increased, even if it's only by a tiny amount. Such is the life's work and greatest reward of all those
Welcome,
who
welcome.
serve the machine god. Perhaps the most well-known of tech priests
Cookie,
is
thank you
that
for
of
the
the
cookie.
Dominus. They are the masters of warfare in all its forms, and weavers of
Dominus.
destruction on simply incomprehensible scales. Through the application of their
The
terrifying
Dominus.
knowledge, they can reduce entire worlds
He's
to ruin.
shrimping.
They do not solve the Mechanicus' problems through diplomacy or research. Instead, they unleash relentless and merciless applications of extreme firepower. It is
No
the
diplomacy.
Dominus that are given full control over the Skitari legions, the
Uh-oh.
Electro priesthood, and the Legio Cybernetica. What's interesting here is that much like how any individual tech priest can ultimately become a Magos, they could also become a Dominus. If they
Dude, there is one telling sign to know, like, what is a Dominus. It's their shrimp form. If you have this shrimp, if you see a shrimp form like this, and it's a Mechanicus, it's probably a Dominus. Look at that. I feel like from all that he showed so far, is the Dominus with this posture right here. So if you feel like you have this posture, you're gonna become the Dominus. Probably. I don't know. Hello, Ollie. Diplomacy at the end of barrel. Yeah. No diplomacy. We do not negotiate. No negotiation.
display a particular propensity for the waging of war. It doesn't matter their background, whether they have been a biologist, engine seer, logi, or just about any other type of tech priest. Each and every one of them can become an expert in the weapons of the arcane and battlefield domination, their individual background contributing to distinct styles of war. In battle, they feast on a continuous supply of raw data gathered by the units under their command and are fed a never-ending stream of servo-stimulants that keep them operating at peak proficiency, as some of the greatest generals the Mechanicus has ever seen. They can simultaneously coordinate frontline tactics, aerial bombardments, and relay orders to the Mechanicus' allied forces like the Titan legions or the Knight households. The augmentations they receive are specifically designed for brutal violence, whether they be equipped with an entire arsenal of heavy weaponry mounted on robotic limbs, or have a host of clawed mechadendrites that lash out at any that come in range, splitting them from head to groin. As they fight, the multiple vox emitters built into their frame bellow hymns to the Omnissiah, while they deliver the machine god's wrath to the enemies of the Mechanicus. Many of them are said to be able to reach out towards an enemy vehicle, and with the twist of their hand, rip its machine spirit from the hull, rendering it useless before the supremacy of the Mechanicus. So important is the role of the Dominus that they are given access to some of the most safeguarded vaults within their respective forge world. It is here that a vast arsenal of legendary techno-arcane weapons recovered by the exploratory fleets are held. If in their wisdom the Dominus deems it necessary, they are permitted access to take any of these sacred artifacts into battle, which, when used, will be capable of unleashing extraordinary feats of destruction.
The bulk of the Adeptus Mechanicus' military might is made up by the Legio Scutari, cyborg men and women who have been thoroughly indoctrinated into the cult Mechanicus, and unflinchingly follow the orders of their tech priest masters. It is these people that defend the Mechanicus' holy forge worlds, and are sent into the most dangerous places imaginable in order to acquire the lost knowledge that is humanity's birthright.
As we start talking about the different units that fight for and alongside the Mechanicus, you might notice a pretty huge absence from this video: the towering god engines of the Collegia Titanica. And that's because I've actually already done a deep dive specifically on Titans, and I don't want to tread over too much ground that I've already covered. They are subservient to the Mechanicus, but are their own wholly unique faction. So if you want to know more about them and their history, then go watch that video after you finish this
Titans as well.
When it comes to the Knights, however, I haven't actually made a deep dive on them yet, but they are on the list. So I'll give a brief summary of their history here. The reason they are aligned so closely with the Mechanicus is that when the Night Worlds were discovered by humanity, the cult demanded to be the ones that integrated them into the Imperium, as the archaeotech of the Knights was of great interest to them. They would be successful in this endeavor, and due to the Mechanicum's knowledge of similar ancient machines, they had the resources and technology in order to assist in their repairs. And many of these Night Worlds at the time had reverted back to a feudalistic form of government, and the Night Engines themselves were pretty run down, having been in service for over 10,000 years. If it had not been for the Mechanicum's aid, they would have eventually all completely broken down. Nowadays, the Forge World of the Mechanicus and the Knight households are tightly entwined and exist in a symbiotic relationship, one that admittedly the Mechanicus does tend to have the upper hand in. However, the major bulk of the Mechanicus' fighting forces come in the form of the Scutari legions. They are the soldiers of the machine god, the protectors of their creed, and the defenders of the mighty forge worlds they hail from. Each individual Scutari can trace their origin back to humble beginnings, whether that be as a part of the numberless pools of forcibly indentured laborers, or maybe they were vat-grown in a flesh farm. It doesn't matter where they come from. Those who serve the forge world as Scutari are all zealously loyal and fanatically devoted to the cult Mechanicus. They view their tech priest masters as prophets of the machine god, and each binaric order that they issue is seen as a holy commandment. Due to the reverence the cult Mechanicus holds for ancient technology, the robots of the Legio Cybernetica, which we will get into later in this video, are held in the highest possible regard. This, unfortunately, cannot be said of the Scutari legions, who are turned out in mass in the cult's production facilities. They are viewed simply as a functional and effective tool, but never as an individual. They may not be blessed by genetic engineering designed for transhuman supremacy like the Space Marines, but their blessed mechanical upgrades allow them to punch much above their weight when faced against the horrors of the galaxy. For the cult Mechanicus, there is a tool for every job and a job for every tool. Whether that be the garrisoning of a forge world in Fabricator Moons, the merciless punishing of techno-heresy, or crusading for the most precious of resources, knowledge. The Legion Scutari are both the tool and weapon of choice for the cult Mechanicus. The thing to bear in mind about the Scutari is that underneath all of their augmentation and arcane weaponry, they are just mortal men and women. Soldiers who have had their bodies sanctified through scientific butchery in the machine god's name. Their bodies are a twisted amalgamation of pallid flesh and sutured cybernetics. The vast majority of them have their legs cut off below the knee and replaced with prosthetic ones made of pristine alloys. Even their minds are not safe from the cult's modifications, as they are a grotesque hybrid of gray matter and networked neurocircuitry. There's no real major consistency with these augmentations from warrior to warrior. One soldier may have a slot punctured into their skull that houses coiling data tethers, while others may have leather bellows for lungs. It's rumored that within a Scutari warrior's body can be found at least trace amounts of every element known to man. Their extensive modification allows the Scutari warriors to excel in just about any environment they may be deployed into. Due to their nature of hailing from hyper-industrialized forge worlds, even seemingly lethal doses of radiation are nothing to those who were born in such toxic wastes. Under normal circumstances, a unit of Scutari is led by a single primary warrior, normally an alpha or a princeps. Whereas a younger Scutari may have only been blessed with a small handful of augmentations, A senior warrior like an alpha may at this point in their career be more machine than man. The leader in the various units under his control make up what is known as a maniple, an organizational unit within the Forge World's military. Multiple maniples make up what is known as a cohort, and multiple cohorts make up what is known as a macroclad. Multiple macroclads make up a legion of Skitarii. Each maniple is assigned identifying sigils, and through their interlocking system of different units, every individual Skitarii understands their place within the hierarchy. This is a passage from the novel Skitaris that I think does a really good job.
There's a novel on them. Ooh. Has anybody read this one before? Is it good? Skitarius. You guys read this before?
Of highlighting the essence of the Skitarii soldiers. Compatible fusions of combat hormones and serenitives were released slowly into their bloodstream, enabling the Skitarii to maintain a state of battle-furious calm. Enemies were dispatched with a ruthless, religious fervor.
Oh my god,
this
I want to read it.
expression in the cold, almost automatic efficiency of their slick aim and death-dealing lack of sentiment. To an enemy, the cybernetic soldiers might appear as machine spirit-guided robots. But the Skitarii were more than just hydraulics, gears, and processors. They hated with the hearts of men and dreamt the glories of the Omnissiah Ascendant, a day when all true constructs of flesh and iron might be connected as one. A time when the machine god might extend his data-ravenous reach and that of his empire throughout the whole galaxy. The Skitarii are said to have an unshakable loyalty, instilled in them through rigorous training and relentless indoctrination. Despite their appearance and unflinching resolve to follow any orders issued by their superior, these men and women are not servitors. They are not mindless drones. They utilize in-loaded tactical schematics, meticulous planning, and intuitive leaps of logic to respond to just about any threat or change in battlefield dynamics. Information gained in the field of battle is broadcast back through the Skitarii's nodes of command, informing hundreds of decisions per second, to such great effect that engagements that other factions may look at as a lost cause are able to be turned into crushing victories. It may seem callous, but the cult Mechanicus is not concerned if hundreds, thousands, or even millions of their fanatical servants are struck down in battle. The tech priests look at the Skitarii as nothing more than tools which will be used to bring about the will of the Omnissiah and the utter annihilation of those who would oppose mankind. Through their sacrifice, do these warriors produce data and knowledge of the foe, and thus the tech priests are given deeper insight into the enemy's strengths and weaknesses. That data will then be distilled and utilized to bring about the Mechanicus'
look at that tongue though. Oh.
There's a lot of different types of Skitarii units, so let's talk about some of the more iconic ones. First up is the Skitarii Vanguard, or Rad Troopers as they are also sometimes referred to.
Rad Troopers.
These warriors are so infused with radiation that by simply being in their presence is incredibly dangerous. The Vanguard have learned not to only endure their lethal emissions, but to also harness it as a weapon. Terrifying auras of radiation literally bleed from their war gear, causing any that are in close proximity to them to fight in a weakened state.
They are
Not only
radiated.
this, but their signature rad carbines are capable of unleashing vicious volleys of radiated shells. If the enemy is somehow able to survive the initial onslaught, they will eventually fall victim to the deadly radiation's vengeance. Because of their nature and reputation as being some of the hardiest of all Skitarii troops, the Vanguard is deployed into the most hazardous of war zones known to mankind, fighting at the front lines and transforming the battlefield into an irradiated hellscape with every step that they take. Many outside of their order would assume that the Skitarii Vanguard is protected inside of their armor from the lethal radiation, but this sadly is not the case, as if somebody was to see them without their helmet on, they would witness a scarred and hairless face, complete with missing teeth and the telltale signs of advanced radiation poisoning.
They're bald
Such is the
inside
price
there.
they are willing to pay in their absolute devotion to the machine god. These are the blessed warriors that are chosen to pilot the legendary Onagir Dunecrawlers, a vehicle that is capable of blasting apart squadrons of aircrafts, punching holes straight through the battle engines of the heretics, or even utilizing blinding beams of blue light to completely atomize anything that stands in their way. They scuttle about on spider-like appendages that allow them to maneuver over just about any terrain, and are bristling with a frankly irresponsible amount of firepower for their size. The Skitarii see the Dunecrawler as not just a weapon, but a walking reliquary protected by the machine god, whereas the tech priests themselves see them as nothing more than a tool for destruction, much like how they view the Skitarii. It's equipped with a miniature fusion
everything is a
generator in its
tool,
rear
huh?
that allows it to continue fighting long past any of the other vehicles employed by their enemies. These things can even go longer over rugged terrain than the vehicles of the Space Marines. The Doomcrawlers have been described as something like a data tick, a fat, bloated, mechanical bug that records an enormous amount of data with each and every shot and every single kill. That hard data can directly be sent to its tech priest masters, or conversely, be used to channel critically important intel to the Skitarii fighters it fights in support of. The vehicle is controlled by a ranger who operates its gun systems, and a member of the Vanguard that acts as its pilot. Now, the reason the Vanguard are used in particular is because of their extreme resilience to toxic chemicals and radiation, as the cockpit of a Doomcrawler is basically a poisonous electroid-rich soup. By being immersed in the electro-amniotic tank, the pilot is given direct communication with the Doomcrawler's formidable machine spirit. Even for the Vanguard, this soup is eventually fatal. They will be used up like a battery before being easily replaced with another Vanguard pilot. They meet their fate with no complaints, as to give their life in service of the machine god by piloting one of his holy reliquaries is seen as a prestigious honor. The Rangers are the mass infantry foot soldiers of the cult Mechanicus, and are renowned for never giving up when in pursuit of their foes. The standard firearm that they use is what is known as a galvanic rifle. It's a mixture of something old and something new, as it has a wooden stock and is modeled after the flintlock rifles of humanity's ancient past. Despite the firearm resembling something of an antique, the bullets that it fires are incredibly advanced. Whenever one of them strikes their target, it immediately causes a chain reaction that causes all of the potential energy of them to burn out in a single instance, killing them in a blast of electrified force. Their legendary stamina allows them to hunt their prey all the way across the galaxy, no matter where they would attempt to flee to. Once the Rangers have been dispatched, they home in on their target at a slow yet unstoppable pace. Whether their target take the form of a Xenos raiding party, or heretics that would blaspheme against the machine god, just because they escape the initial onslaught of gunfire doesn't mean they are safe. Months, years, or even decades may pass after the initial engagement, and the prey may settle into a false sense of security. This feeling will be fleeting, however, as one day they will glimpse a constellation of glowing blue lights approaching against the horizon. The sight will be confusing at first, and admittedly equal parts beautiful and unnaturally disturbing. The lights will grow larger and larger as they move closer towards the target, before suddenly opening up in a blazing torrent of gunfire. To the Skitarii Rangers, a conflict is never over until their assignment has been completed, no matter how much time has passed or how much distance has gotten in between them and their prey. In the end, no one escapes the Rangers' judgment. So next up on the list is something a little bit more esoteric and disturbing. The fighters known as the Sicarians. It looks like a fly. The Sicarians are a warrior clad that is considered to be one of the most sinister and feared of all Skitarii fighters. They take the form of two primary units, Ruststalkers and Infiltrators. Although the way in which they dispatch their targets is unique to both groups, they both utilize sound as a deadly weapon. The way in which the Infiltrators do this is by emitting disruptive wavelengths from their domed helmets that can rapidly change in frequency. This materializes
they are the radio faction. Oh man, they're gonna blast you with the party music while pew-pewing. That's amazing. They're like radios. Oh, let's go.
Enemies as a bombardment of overwhelming stimuli. Enemy voxcasters cry out in anguished feedback, whilst vid screens crackle with fizzing static. The visual and auditory assault is not only incredibly effective against...
He's a DJ! Look at that! He has a setup. Right there, a floating setup. Noise Marines.
Artificial constructs, but is even more damaging and disorienting.
Okay. They're fine. They're not radio. But he's a DJ. He has a DJ setup. Do it. Come on. Look at that.
To organic systems. The target's ears ring with deafening tinnitus. Their vision turns red as blood vessels burst in their eyes.
It's not good music though. They're just gonna blast you with something.
Taste or smell anything other than burnt metal. It is said that being subjected to such an attack leaves the target being unable to do little else than remember how to breathe, rendering them completely helpless as the Infiltrator walks into point-blank range and opens fire. What's really interesting and admittedly a little disturbing about this horrifying sonic attack is that other members of the Skitarii they fight alongside are given null codes that transmute the frequencies into a harmless song. The terrifying mechanical screams give way to nothing less than an uplifting hymn praising the Omnissiah. Because of this, the Skitarii that fight alongside them don't see them as sonic monsters, but instead as holy warriors committed to a selfless war on the front line. The infiltrators are viewed by their brethren as noble and righteous, but the same cannot be said of the Ruststalkers, for there is no attempt with them to deny their true nature. They are ghastly mechanical murderers. Now, although the origins of the Ruststalkers is shrouded in mystery, it is believed they were originally designed to function as a cybernetic assassin during Mars's ancient history. They would be deployed into the waste to hunt down rogue servitors or other undesirables that the cult Mechanicum had shunned. They proved to be ruthlessly efficient in their grim tasks, and would end up being repurposed and militarized into groups known as Killclades. These Killclades would then serve on the front line alongside the Legion Skitarii. By the 42nd millennium, their usage has spread to just about every documented Forge world. Whatever their individual origins, the Ruststalkers are famed as some of the best close-ranged assassins that exist in the entire galaxy. They slink silently through the shadows, following their Princeps' order without hesitation. After locating their quarry and moving into position, they will wait patiently for the Princeps to give the kill order and set them loose. With a silent binary command, the Princeps releases the leash, and the Ruststalkers fall upon their foe in a slashing, stabbing frenzy, a whirlwind of ripping claws and cleansing transonic blades. They are frighteningly fast and move as a spindly blur across the battlefield, accelerating on powerful hydraulics mounted on their light frames. Before the foe has a chance to react, they lunge for their vital systems, unleashing the shredding nightmare of their shivering blades, rending apart armor and vital systems alike as they butcher their way through the enemy ranks with cold and lethal efficiency. What makes them so particularly deadly is the ingenious war gear that they utilize. Now, their signature weapon is known as a transonic razor, a blade that emits a low, constant buzzing that causes any in the vicinity to experience a destabilizing effect. It's not quite as powerful as the ones utilized by the infiltrators, but it can cause symptoms like aggressive nausea, vertigo, and extreme dizziness. When the weapon strikes a target, its sonic field matches the armor's resonant frequency instantaneously, allowing the blade to quickly slice through anything it comes into contact with. Because of the lightning-fast nature of the attack and the inconceivable sharpness of the weapon, it may take several seconds for the victim to even realize they have been sliced in half, their defeat inevitably dawning on them in a spectacularly gory display. There's a couple of different methods in which somebody can become a Ruststalker, but they make better candidates the more detached they are from humanity and display particularly violent tendencies. Many murderers, thugs, and killers are taken from a Forge World's prison systems and given a new purpose as a Ruststalker. This isn't to say that all of them are former criminals, far from it, as in the novel Skitarius, we are shown that Skitarii that are mortally wounded in battle and serve the Omnissiah well would receive the blessing of future form from their tech priests, their brains and a few other scraps of vital flesh being encased in an insect-like body of a Ruststalker. And with the cold, logic-driven killing machines of the Skitarii legions, the tech priests are never lacking for new candidates. The Iron Strider Ballistari and the Sidonian Dragoons can trace their origins back to a period in time during the Martian Schism, wherein the ancestors of their order inhabited a vast cratered area full of dense acidic mist. The voracious gases of the zone made it completely hostile to any life that it came into contact with. Thus it was said that these ancient people would mount stilted constructs with which to stride above the gases. Thousands of years later, their descendants would continue the tradition, taking to the battlefield upon a construct known as an Iron Strider engine. These things were invented in the 33rd millennium by a tech priest known as Aldebrak Vin. And don't let its somewhat silly appearance fool you. The machine itself was an absolutely remarkable creation that was as close to perpetual motion as the Mechanicus has ever been able to create. It is designed in such a way that just by moving, the engine powers itself. One would assume that such a remarkable device would have earned the tech priest that created it unprecedented accolades. But the unfortunate reality is that that wasn't the case. It is said that he was shunned and mocked by his jealous colleagues and would wind up dead.
So it's like legs. Leg extension. What are they called again? Iron Striders.
Under mysterious circumstances. After his death, all of the secrets of his designs and the knowledge of how exactly these things worked also mysteriously disappeared. As a result, the concept of perpetual motion would ultimately be abandoned by the Mechanicum, and they instead rely on replicating the design of the remaining Iron Striders, even though the knowledge of exactly how they function is unknown.
It's just guns on legs, dude. Basically, they mount a gun on big legs and just call it a day.
Iron Striders, as well as the ancient ones created by Aldebrak himself, have never been turned off, as the Mechanicus fears that if they were to allow the machine spirit within it to rest, it may never be roused again. The lore isn't 100% clear on this,
Guns
but
on
I
legs.
assume the tech priest responsible for maintaining these devices may have to commit to a lot of rituals to keep these machine spirits happy. In the 42nd millennium, the Iron Striders served the
It's all
Skitarii
legs.
as mountable, long-legged walkers that can effectively be used as an all-terrain vehicle that can exist in constant motion for years at a time. The vast majority of their systems are controlled by a servitor
It's
that
a
is
staple?
plugged into the device. This allows the rider to focus on the battle. The Iron Striders are so remarkably efficient.
Second version has a lance like an old-fashioned knight going for a joust. I think it's gonna look suspicious if there's a lance here, because these are legs, right? And you mount a lance here. You know what I'm saying, right? Why you? Oh no! Mount a lance on top of the legs. Oh no! The guy riding it holds it. Oh, I thought it's like mounted on it. Oh no.
That the servitor itself is really the only part that needs to be swapped out every.
What the fuck is that sound? Somebody bought something in my throne. Oh, I forgot I was using display capture. Hold on. Hey, who did that? Stop it. That scared me. Sheesh. Hold on. I'm gonna check. What was that? Why are there two sound effects? Whoever did that. Why you do this? Stop it. I'm reacting. I have to check something. Alarm. Oh no. I cannot. Show me the schmeckle. Dude, I cannot access the desktop. Oh my god, hold on. That was scary. Nani? Wink, wink, nani? Whoop whoop. Oh, somebody bought me a burger. Thank you. Oh, it's Vegeta. Thank you, Vegeta. Yeah. Vegeta bought me a burger plushie. That scared the hell out of me. Sheesh. Burger plushie. Okay, let's go back to watching. A burger Nyoom? Yes. That was scary. The machine spirit call you. Oh no.
Couple of years. When this happens and the servitor wheezes its last necrotic
Hello, Mara.
breath, if a tech priest is not immediately nearby to initiate the ritual of repair, it's likely the Iron Strider will continue to march forward in a straight line indefinitely.
Most powerful
Whether that be
weapon?
off into the sunset or, in some unfortunate cases, directly
Maybe.
into enemy ranks. When
Not
a tech
now,
priest
though.
is available to repair the engine, it will excise the dead flesh of the servitor and install a new one. The remains of the former pilot being thrown into the dust without comment or concern. The Sidonian Dragoons, who are permitted to ride an Iron Strider into battle, are esteemed members of the Skitarii who have earned numerous accolades, fighting in service of the cult Mechanicus. They wield crackling taser lances and emit a burning cloud of ochre mist from incense exhausts that are built into their mounts. This mist is reminiscent of
Incense
the ones that
exhaust
their
in their
ancient
mouths?
ancestors dwelt
Ooh.
within. The mist can be used to cloud the Dragoons' advance and also disorients targets when they charge into enemy ranks. And they are absolutely vicious in melee combat and leave a gory trail of skewered corpses in their wake wherever they ride. The Ballistari, on the other hand, utilize their Iron
What's a
Strider as
BDSM
a mobile
servitor?
sniping
Oh.
platform. They take full advantage of its remarkable maneuverability
Dude,
to quickly move.
There's two of them here. There's also a guy there. Oh,
move in and out of ideal firing positions.
Wait! Unless he is part of the legs. Maybe... Huh.
Not only is their marksmanship unrivaled within the Skitarii legions,
No.
but at their command is a vast
There's
library
2
of
people there.
anatomical
Okay.
data, including defensive capabilities and weaknesses of every species and faction the Mechanicus has ever encountered. Before the battle begins, the Ballistari will be permitted to download all of the Mechanicus' knowledge about enemy leader figures as well,
Downloading
instantaneously
info.
memorizing thousands of potential variations in a warlord's unique silhouette.
He's the horse.
They tirelessly
Oh.
scan the battlefield,
Yeah, yeah,
attempting
look at
to
it.
locate these
Oh, I see why you said it's like BDSM. Oh, yeah, he is the horse. His leg is connected to this. Because his leg, he only has thighs. He has no calves. These are his legs now. Oh, he's stuck to it. Oh. Oh. Oh, no. He's part of it. Oh my goodness.
targets of strategic importance. Once one has been found, an audible chime will be heard, and the Ballistari will immediately be flooded with a whole host of hyper-focused stimulants. When their targeting array falls upon the enemy warlord, their prey has mere heartbeats left before they are wiped completely from existence. It's said that when they catch the scent of prey, there is nowhere left to hide.
Oh, now I
Can
cannot
punch
unsee it.
right through the armored hull of a tank, as if it was made of wet paper.
He was there the whole
before
time.
impacting the enemy commander's skull in a violent and gory explosion. Kill shots coming to the Ballistari as naturally as breathing does to you or me. The Skitarii that would be selected to join the Cerberus.
This is canonically how any vehicle that needs a computer to operate function. It's either brain in a jar or a servitor. Alright, because they don't use AI. They have to use humans somehow. Oh my goodness. There are Loki's
are given the
engines.
sacred task of bonding with a cybernetic construct known as a cyber-canid. These devices are seen as a great gift from the Omnissiah, and to waste it is to face deletion. If after several cycles, the rider is able to successfully bond with their cyber-canid, a Magos haptic will
Ooh, a
determine if they are
bond.
deemed worthy to enter the Cerberus Corps. After joining the order, the
Ah, doggy.
cyber-canid they have bonded with will
Oh,
undergo a series
have
of
doggy.
modifications to better suit their new role. This comes in two distinct unit types,
Ah, so
the
cute.
Cerberus Raiders and the Cerberus Sulphur Hounds. The canids themselves
They have
are equipped with
doggies.
razor
Ow.
clawed limbs that allow them to easily maneuver through shattered terrain. Regardless of where they end up, they will be trained in riding their quadrupedal construct into battle. The Raiders act like incredibly mobile scouts that excel at outflanking enemy positions and picking off key assets. They
Oh.
use a system of advanced ocular
I
arrays
looked
and
away. I saw cute stuff. What the hell is that? Why are they chasing a
quadrupedal
cute
construct
thing?
into battle. The Raiders act like incredibly mobile scouts that excel at outflanking enemy positions and picking off key assets.
What is this? What is this thing? Is it a baby tyrannid? That's a dude in a dog robot costume? Oh, it's not a real dog. Oh no. It's a baby tyrannid. It's so cute. Why did they have to make it so cute?
assets. They use a system of advanced ocular arrays implanted in the rider's skull that are linked with the mount through the noosphere, making the rider and their mount act as a singular entity. They are expert trackers and serve like a pack of hunting hounds that can sniff out heretics no matter how well they
Sniffer!
conceal
Ooh.
themselves. The Sulphur Hounds, on the
Sniffer!
other hand, are equipped with phosphor blast carbines, while their mount is equipped with a device of similar design that allows it to exhale bouts of searing flame. Unlike their cousins that are used as scouts, these are shock
It's a
troops
guy with
that are
his arms and
remarkably
legs
effective
cut
at
off.
breaking
Oh no, it's
particularly
not a
stubborn
doggy.
lines, smashing into enemy forces
Oh, I
and
thought it was a
unleashing
doggy.
concentrated gouts of burning phosphorus that render their enemies to nothing more than piles of ash and fragments of charred bone. The final cast of Skitarii that I want to talk about are the winged jump troops of the Tyraxi.
Oh!
They have been optimized
They have
for
wings.
instinctive reaction and agility, each one of them equipped with a flight pack that is bonded to the individual warrior through a
Aw.
series of elements
His
of
legs are
cognition.
cut off as
These
well.
work to seamlessly integrate the wings into the user's anatomy, becoming less of a tool and more of an extension of their
The
own
bidet
body.
dog.
The Tyraxi come in two different flavors of winged death dealing.
Flavors?
The sterilizers and the sky stalkers. The sterilizers are trained and indoctrinated to be hyper-aggressive, and excel in death from above style
Sterilization.
close-range ambushes. They're equipped with razor-sharp talons on their legs and carry phosphor torches in their hands. The Skystalkers, on the other hand, utilize their flight and incredible maneuverability to reach high vantage points in which to deal death to the enemies of the Omnissiah at long range. In the grand scheme of Warhammer 40k, the Taraxi and the Cerberus Corps are relatively new units and factions that we don't know too much about yet, as they were
they're
only introduced to
new.
us a few years ago. So hopefully in a future Mechanicus novel, we will be given more insight into their culture. But
Lex
as of
removed
right now,
from-
we
for all
pretty
the
much just
Scatard?
have their entries in the new
Aw.
rulebooks to go
No
off.
legs for them.
The Orders of the Electro-Priests are another common unit that you'll see fighting for the Adeptus Mechanicus on the front lines. Each and
They're
every
not
one
into
is a
fit,
conduit
they like
for the motive
toasters.
force, and is absolutely bristling with electrical energies,
No legs,
with which they will
no
use
feet.
to illuminate the heathens of the galaxy. There are actually two different types of Electro-Priests that have their own unique belief systems and
Electro-Priest.
fighting styles. And let's just say, as is all too common with different denominations of the same faith, they don't tend to get along.
The congregations of electro-priests are seen as the
They
direct
play
embodiment of the
electro
more
music.
arcane and fanatical side of the cult Mechanicus. Their orders are dedicated specifically to the worship of the motive force, the one-third aspect of the
Motive
machine
force.
god that represents the spark that drives all systems,
He's
be
not
they
wearing
organic,
clothes.
synthetic, biological, or
shirt.
mechanical. The motive force is
No
seen
shirt
as the
for the
fire that
electro-priest.
leaps from neuron to neuron, and the illumination that reignites cold reactor cores. It runs like a current through the bodies of the electro-priests. Their
don't have
implants
eyes
that they
as
have
well,
under
huh?
their skin, known as electus, connect their entire nervous system together and allow this energy to build frantically over time, its power accelerating proportionally based on the priest's mental state. When they get whipped up into a religious fervor, they can generate bioelectrical pulses strong enough to incinerate incoming projectiles. The electus themselves are a device that is worn by just about every member of the Machine God's faithful, and in their simplest form can be
Bald.
used to remotely access a wealth of identifying and hierarchical data. The ones worn by the electro-priests, however, are vastly more complex and powerful. They can take the form of small metallic wafers,
Ooh, excuse
silvery
me.
streams of motile nanoservitors, and in some extreme cases,
Nanoservitors?
even full-body
What?
networks. As they are implanted under the skin, most of the time they are completely invisible. However, some electro-priests have theirs designed in such a way that they radiate vibrantly up through their flesh, appearing as
Ooh.
glowing runes or streaking bolts of lightning. They're viewed by their bearers as a prestigious mark of the machine god's blessing.
The
Now, the
electro-nipples.
reason it's so important that we know about the Electus is to better understand the two major factions of electro-priest, because at the heart of their philosophical differences is the way in which the motive force, and thus the implants used to wield it as a weapon, are utilized. There are two main sects of electro-priests, the Fulgurites and the Corpuscarii, and the two factions don't tend to see eye to eye, in a somewhat literal sense, as electro-priests don't have eyes, as the constant channeling of electricity normally causes
They
them
don't
to
see eye
burn
to eye
away or
'cause they don't
bubble
have
out in
eyes.
a dribbling mess at some point in their
Alright.
careers. Instead, seeing by sensing electromagnetic signatures and seeing the world as a crackling vision of the motive force, but also in a more philosophical sense as well. You see, the schism that divides the two sects
They don't see
goes
eye to
all the
eye.
way back to pre-imperial times. Back then,
Oh my
the
God.
Corpuscarii believed the machine god's light needed to be brought to the galaxy, that through this divine light, all savages could be illuminated. Their crusades used considerable amounts of resources, but those early pioneers believed that the Omnissiah's power was infinite. The Fulgurites, on the other hand, had the complete opposite perspective and saw the blatant wasting of the holy motive force as outright blasphemous. They were appalled
Blasphemous.
by the sheer quantity of resources frivolously consumed by the Corpuscarii crusades. They believed wholeheartedly that the motive force was a finite resource, and by lavishly illuminating their ships, even though no members of the Order needed light to see, and in practicing a fighting style that channeled blasts of electricity through the air, they were
blasting.
disrespecting the machine god's power. This philosophical disagreement would lead, as most often do in human history, to open warfare between the two factions. These
Sheesh.
were known as the Conduit Wars, and even to this day, the red planet of Mars still bears unmistakable scars inflicted by the Electro-Priests and their bitter wars of faith. By the time of the 42nd millennium,
Electro-Priest.
they would reach a point where they could coexist with one another, open warfare between the two factions being incredibly rare. But that doesn't mean their issues have been resolved, far from it. Neither side has amended their beliefs.
Ooh,
Their
the big
fighting
power.
has just become far more subtle and political in nature. The Corpuscarii advance through the battlefield, chanting litanies and hymns to the machine god as his energy builds in their veins. They are protected by barriers of shimmering energy known as Voltagheist fields. The fanatics can summon lightning at will through their electrostatic gauntlets.
Oh my
Through violent
God.
bursts of energy, the machine god's wrath is funneled into their enemies, and in what they believe to be an act of mercy and great
Lightning
generosity,
blast.
the condemned is granted the ecstasy of full-body electrocution. In that brief
Ecstasy
second
of
before
full-body
death, the heretic
electrocution.
will be forced to witness the machine god's holy light before being shaken apart
Full-body
and burned from the
electrocution.
inside out. In stark contrast to the overzealous use of the motive force, the Fulgurite do not fight at range,
Fulbright?
and instead crackle with energy they have stolen from those they have bludgeoned to death in combat. Whereas the Corpuscarii believe in the generous spreading of the machine god's light throughout the galaxy, using it to enlighten non-believers, the Fulgurite instead seek to reclaim it, to tear the bioelectrical life force from the heretic,
Oh.
the witch, and the alien, and bind it with the Omnissiah, that only
slurp
those deemed worthy
the
by the
lightning
machine
out of you.
god should possess his life-giving energy.
Oh,
To this
shit.
end, they would willingly render every culture that did not fully devote themselves to the worship of the Omnissiah to nothing more than dust in the wind. To the Fulgurite, the wasteful use of energy is a sin on par with allowing a heretic to wield its power. They don no armor and forsake the use of any powered weaponry,
No
marching
armor,
directly into
sheesh.
the enemy ranks and bludgeoning
Who
them to
needs
death with
armor?
their electro-leech staves, a
Go
device
naked.
constructed out of multiple conductor rods that draw energy out of the target with every strike, storing it
Okay, so one is gonna electrocute you. They will release lightning, and the other one is gonna suck you. I suck the lightning out of you. I see. I see. That's why there's a disagreement between the two. Hmm. Okay, which one would you rather experience? Do you wanna feel the ecstasy of electrocution, or do you wanna get sucked? Oh no, the suck. The lightning suck. Jeez. They can steal electricity from your nervous system. Oh my god, not my lightning. I need that. I think I'd rather get sucked. They're gonna suck your lightning. The shock sucking.
and a series of capacitor cells. On one hand, these weapons are incredibly effective against war machines or any form of powered armor or weapon, but in a disturbing twist, they are also able to suck the bioelectricity from living creatures. Their foes collapse into the ground after a single strike, their corpses left cold and motionless as the Fulgurite warrior strides onward into battle, the stolen energy being used to power the holy instead of the heretic.
The Legio Cybernetica is said to be one of the oldest branches within the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Better to have my lightning suck than to be penetrated by someone else's lightning. That's what Grandpa used to always say. Of course, it was Grandpa who said that.
And is responsible for the production and maintenance of all of their robotic constructs. Sacred war machines that have gone unchanged for thousands of years.
Oh, these ones
and
are the cute ones.
revered by the Mechanicus
Ah,
as
very
they are
cute.
feared by the enemies of mankind. Long ago, they were said to control legions of these constructs, but nowadays, each one is seen as an absolutely irreplaceable relic, as the knowledge needed to produce many of the more powerful robots was lost long
So
ago.
cute.
The Cybernetica can trace its origins back to the days of the Dark Age of
Cybernetica.
technology, when scientifically minded individuals built great hosts of automata and gave them the power of independent thought. This was a grievous mistake, one in which humanity would pay for dearly with the coming of the Men of Iron. Thousands of years
Men of
later, at
Iron.
the formation
Uh-oh.
of the fledgling Mechanicum, the sacred accords known as the Crimson Accord of Mars was created to serve as the cornerstone of doctrinal law. One of its decrees was that any who would attempt to resurrect the forsaken heretical practice of creating what they referred to as silica animus, soulless automata, or abominable intelligence, would be tortured until
Abominable
death.
intelligence.
Human curiosity, however, is a fickle thing, and despite the consequences, many others would attempt to utilize this technology, believing themselves superior to those that had come before, and that they were intelligent enough to avoid the mistakes of the past. Some believe that it wasn't just something being able to think, that it was sentience.
You're a
equivalent
stinky
to
boy. What? Zero 1 1 0 0. Here be Arvel Smlem. You're a stinky boy. It says there, you're a stinky boy. Someone also said Mlem.
humanities that was the root of the problem, and thus experimented with AIs, no more intelligent than beasts. These lesser works of synthetic life were deemed sacred, and thus the Bestia Mechanica and their kindred were deemed just intelligent enough to not be a threat to mankind's continued existence. That being said, their kindred would be handed over to the newly formed Legio Cybernetica to control. Others, however, took a far more heretical approach, blending machines with sentience they pulled directly from the Immaterium. These attempts would lead to disastrous consequences. There are few surviving records of these experiments and those who attempted them, but accounts from the time of the Horus Heresy indicated that War Master Horus would end up sponsoring the creators of these terrifying war machines.
He sponsored
this was
them.
the origin of what would become known as the Dark Mechanicum, but we're going to end up covering them much more in depth in their own video. Despite the fact that the robots or battle automatons they would end up creating were either wholly dependent on a living human to issue them orders, or if they had any form of intelligence, it was no greater than that of a really dumb toddler or a really smart Labrador retriever. Something even broaching a thinking machine was treated with great caution by the larger Mechanicum. Thus, from the beginning, it was decreed that the Cybernetica would be broken down into smaller independent units known as cohorts, effectively limiting the power of any single Magos Dominus by locking them into a weaving web of fealty and reliance upon the great machine lords of the Mechanicum and its Forge world. Their robotic constructs are nearly identical to the dreadnoughts employed by the Space Marine chapters, in parts and construction. The only major difference between them, other than their appearance and weapon systems, is that the robots are equipped with a cortex, an artificial brain constructed from synthetic proteins and enzymes, rather than being piloted by a mortally wounded Space Marine. These synthetic brains have been imprinted with firmware routines, allowing them to follow simple commands, like opening doors, moving to a specific location, or engaging certain battle protocols. The Cybernetica is capable of creating all kinds of different robots, whether they take the form of non-combatants like robot crawlers and servo-automata, or those made explicitly for warfare, like the Castellan robots. The Castellan themselves are gifted with immense physical strength and rugged stamina. They are the ultimate war machine, in that they harbor no sense of doubt or weakness. Each one is an unliving giant, assigned specific war purposes by their datasmith masters. Their thick heavy plating and sheer bulk grant them the ability to weather enormous storms of heavy fire, whilst utilizing their advanced array of weapon systems to deliver the Omnissiah's wrath to all those that would deny the cult's superiority. These robots have been in service to mankind since the earliest days of the Mechanicum, and although not confirmed, many Forge Worlds claim to have functioning models that have been in service for millennia even before this. The claim itself is not entirely out of the realm of possibility, as the technology and knowledge utilized in their creation has existed since the Dark Age of technology. Unfortunately, the knowledge has long since been lost, so all of the Castellans in service are at bare minimum multiple millennia old. Thousands of years ago, the robots of Legio Cybernetica were said to exist in numbers large enough to single-handedly lay waste to entire Xenos empires. But those days are no more, as the vast majority of these great machines have been lost to time. Each and every one is viewed as a priceless and irreplaceable relic. Thus, only Magos of particular authority are able to requisition their use. And if one was to be lost or falls in battle, the Mechanicus will sanction extreme expenditure in order to recover them. The Castellan robot is only able to follow simple commands, and thus will enact one of many carefully designed battle protocols. They are not intelligent enough to switch them on their own, and thus a datasmith is required. If the datasmith ends up getting killed, or at the very least separated from his robotic host, the Castellan will follow the commands of the selected protocol indefinitely, until they run out of energy, which in an active war zone of constant fighting could potentially take weeks to occur. There are tales of Castellan robots that have continued in their brutal assault, waging an unceasing war of brutal and mindless violence against the enemy, their rampage continuing through a city's empty streets long after the last corpse of their foe have grown cold. Some of the known protocols the Castellans utilize are that of the Conqueror, where a robot will advance at frightening speed, charging straight forward into enemy ranks like a massive murderous wrecking ball. They batter their way through hordes of enemies, swinging massive piston-driven fists that obliterate anything they come into contact with, including flesh, armor, and even the ferrocrete of enemy fortifications with relative ease. Conversely, when the Guardian Protocol is enacted, the Castellan will forsake fighting in melee, to instead reroute the subroutines normally dedicated to locomotion to that of precision bombardment. Once activated, the robot will lock in place, their heavy weapon systems roaring to life and becoming a protected bastion of unrelenting firepower.
the friend episode.
Datacmyths that prefer this protocol will
so
often
cute.
replace a
Look at him.
Castellan's fist with a set of phosphor blasters, further amplifying the robot's catastrophic damage they are able to inflict at long range.
So cute.
Once the Datacmyth initiates their ballistic subroutine, the robot unleashes a hurricane of glowing phosphorus shots.
That's so cute.
The white-hot spheres impacting the target and sizzling wildly
Rips
as they
an
eat through
organ
flesh
her.
and armor
That's so
alike.
cute.
The cult Mechanicus has decreed that flesh is weak and the machine is pure. To this end, the opportunity to command a group of these holy machines is the equivalent of being tasked with leading a host of angels into battle. I don't think it's that out of line to say that the Mechanicus is one of the most interesting factions in all of Warhammer 40k.
They are interesting.
They have access to some of the most advanced technology that humanity has ever seen, and sit upon a throne built of raw data. They are privy to the wisdom of the universe, and with each and every exploratory fleet that they launch, they come ever closer to understanding the true nature of the machine god. Although their efforts have persisted for over 10,000 years, the quest for knowledge is far from complete. They yearn for a day when man and machine will bond as one, and the will of the Omnissiah will be made manifest. They will continue to wage their holy wars across the stars until the glorious day of apotheosis comes to fruition. I love the Mechanicus as a faction. They are easily one of my favorites, but even still, I can't help but feel a deep sense of sadness whenever I read about them. Despite their overwhelming numbers and ridiculous level of technology, they are a faction built upon the foundation of lies and hypocrisy. The ability to truly innovate was lost long ago and is practiced only by a few who they deem as heretics. Innovation being replaced with reverence for the time in which humanity was the architect of its own destiny.
They live in the
great minds of the past by forsaking that which allowed them to accomplish true greatness in the first place. They are completely enslaved to ancient history, bound by rigid adherence to tradition and esoteric rituals whose true purpose and meaning has been lost to time. Discernment and comprehension have been sacrificed in the name of right dogma and edict. They view themselves as superior to all those not as blessed by the machine god as they, and callously strip away more and more of their humanity with each and every day. They condemn all those that go against their creed as blasphemers, viewing any that would dare attempt unlicensed innovation as a heretic. Yet they continue to inflict all manner of atrocity against their own people. By their account, they maintain their alliance with the Imperium only as it furthers their own goals and ambitions. What happens when the leaders of Holy Terra decide to pursue a path they deem offensive to the machine god? They believe their way of life, laws, and system of faith to be superior to all others, while conveniently ignoring that they are completely dependent on the Imperium to continue to exist. But it doesn't matter. They will continue their relentless quest for knowledge, sending fleets into the darkest corners of the galaxy, not in the name of discovery and advancement, but in the desperate attempt to get one more fleeting glimpse into a better age. So long as their armies maintain the ability to obliterate any that would offend their creed, and their holy machines continue to be appeased through their ritualistic sacrifices, the cult Mechanicus will stay the path, dragging humanity into the future by shackling them to the past, driven ever onwards towards entropy and ignorance. The deepest irony being that every action they take to inch ever closer to the emulation of the machines they hold so sacred is done with the fervent faith and obsessive ambition of mortal men. No matter how fiercely they deny it, no matter how much of their flesh they sacrifice, no matter how close they get to the grand designs of the machine god, the Mechanicus is ultimately a slave to its own humanity.
Aww. It's so sad. It is unlicensed innovation that is forbidden. You need a license. Oops.
Hello,
That's don't worry about that.
Out of all the factions that have come to inhabit the
That's a crochet video. Ah, you need a license to innovate. Do you have a license for that innovation, sir? No. Have specific structure that innovate. From this video, though, it seems like they're just obsessed with the past. They're obsessed with the past technology. And they are gonna do everything in their power to recover that past technology. And knowledge. Ooh, they also like to lobotomize. Lobotomize everybody. Lobotomy! Relics are stupidly good. Tostushi got me questioning my loyalty to the throne of Onterra. Oh no. Who doesn't enjoy a good lobotomy? Oh no. Oh no. Lobotomy. Away. Okay. Let me see what I remember from this video. What I remember from this video, they're looking for the STC. It's something. It has a lot of knowledge and stuff, technology. They're looking for it, and they send fleets to look for this. And then for the what do you call that? For the troops and the parts of the Mechanicus faction, I don't remember much. I mean, Skitari, I remember that one. The frontline infantry people is Skitari. I remember that. There's also Magus. Oh, I remember the Magus. There's also the Artisan. And what else do I remember? There's those lightning people. Lightning, no eyeballs, no shirt. They suck. You're lightning, or they would, or the other one would give you lightning. The other one would give you lightning. The other one would suck your lightning. The cute robots, the Castellans, they're very cute. Ah, yes. Magos. Dominos. I also remember the Dominos. They have shrimp posture. Dominos. And also the long legs. What do you call the long legs? You know, the long legs. And apparently there's a person there. There's a person on those legs. Oh, shit. And what do I remember? What else? Oh, the tank. The tank that someone pilots it, and the pilot becomes part of the soup that powers the tank. The Strider Rider. The June Strider. Rust Stalker. There's also Rust Stalker. What else? War Master. Forge Lord. So many. There are many different magi. You can be Magus, Dominus. Ah, yes, the Magus. They're different Magus. Biologies. Ah, yes. Magus is the rank. Ah, of course. June Crawler. With the long legs. Mr. Long Legs. June Strider, June Crawler. Yes. Tech Priests. But they also do different stuff. Tech Priest is not just Tech Priest. Sulfurous Dog. Oh, the doggy. I thought they were cute. But apparently they're not that cute. Hello, Acceptable Casualty. Hello, Maximus. Capsunk. Mara. Dude, that was amazing. I cannot contain all those information though. That's so much information. Doggies are cute unless you think about them. my god. No, I don't want to think about what's going on in the doggies. Project study, embrace brain sponge. Oh yeah, there's also the irradiated soldiers. They're the rad troopers. There you go. Oh, rad troopers. The tooth pipes. Ah, yes, I remember the tooth pipes. The doggo from Exaction, from Not Judged Trade. Can't really keep everything in mind. Took weeks of reading wiki for me to grasp the very basics. I don't think I'm gonna read the wiki though. I like watching more than reading. I want somebody else to explain it. Also, chat will explain it further. So you know, I'm too lazy to read. I'm not Indonesian. I'm a Filipino. Indonesian. No. Not Indonesian. Castellan. The Castellan, I like it. They're very cute. They look French shape. French shape. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Skitari. The Marie Curie treatment. What would the next one be? Oh, we're gonna watch Hell's Reach next week. We're gonna watch Hell's Reach on Monday. Hell's Reach. Because I've been thinking about watching it for a long time. I just didn't have the time before because I started watching the Emperor TTS. Emperor TTS took a lot of time to watch. We didn't even finish it yet. We watched until episode 20. YouTube content makers should be listened to with caution. They tend to spread common misconceptions that plague the community. I mean, that's why I stream it. I mean, come on. The chat and the comment section tells me stuff anyway, so don't worry about it. It's a whole series? Oh, yes. I read the comments, I read chat, don't worry. Don't worry. TTS, it's a whole bunch of info dump as well, TTS. My brain cannot process it. There's not a lot of stuff that sticks to my brain when I watch Emperor TTS, dude. So much words that I don't understand what it means. It's funny though. Although sometimes the monologue makes me kind of bored. Sometimes they just keep on droning on and on and on because they like to monologue. It's good though. It's pretty good. GW contributed to its shutdown directly? Damn, that's kind of sad. I love it. The lore video? I like it. I like the lore video. It's straight to the point, no memes. May compare it to Bricky, who is like memes all over the place. Weshammer, when he presents an idea on the video, there's not much memes on it. It's just he just says stuff as they are, you know. So that's I like that. I appreciate that. I cannot retain all the information, but I like it. I appreciate it, you know. Did it answer other Mechanicus questions? No, really. I don't think I have that much questions. I was just mainly curious about the cute robot. But I like it so far. I like it. Although he didn't explain on that novel, he was talking about the novel. He said there's gonna be some spoilers and he didn't say what they were looking for in the planet. He just told about the pill, the dangerous pill the Mechanicus gave the soldiers. Oh, yet. We can do better, don't steal our business. Started a dog water streaming service, got no business, then rolled back the fan content. But oh, is that what happened? Before they banned all fan content? Because they made their own stuff? And now people can make fan content again? Oh, shit. Astartes, I already have a video on that. Oh, I really thought that guy who made the Astartes is gonna make more. Because I thought they hired him. They shut down fan content? Oh, I love Astartes. I've seen it long time ago as well. I didn't know anything about Warhammer. And then recently I also watched it. It's still good. It's so good. I remember a long time ago when I watched them, I thought, this is so good. I don't know what it is, but it's so good. And then recently I watched it and I'm like, yes, it's good. It didn't change my opinion at all. It's amazing. If you watch Hammer and Bolter, the guy that made Astartes made the Tau episodes. What? Is there a Tau episode in Hammer and Bolter? Huh? The ones with the Titans and Eldar. What? There wasn't a Tau episode. Do you mean the Eldar episode? Did you make your own model? Yes. Somebody else rigged it for me. I did the art, but someone else rigged it. The Exodite. He made the Exodite. Okay, let me Google that. Exodite. Oh, it's a series as well. Oh. The Astartes guy made this. The one that featured down. The first one. Called Flame. Oh. Exodite. 6.5 out of 10. Aw, that's kind of sad. IMDb says 6.5 out of 10. But each episode is kind of... Oh well. We'll see. Maybe when I watch it. Exodite is made by other people? What? Who? What did he actually make? Oh my god. Creator of Astartes is not linked to Exodite in any form. Okay, so there's a Reddit post about this. Whatever happened to him? Let's see. His LinkedIn says he's freelance. He's not part of GW now. Haven't stopped animating and especially learning new skills to improve content, but this has been tough with time split between various projects. Let's see. V45 will be a space horror action adventure short following a warrior pilot and his crew's search for their fallen leader. Yatra Project. V45 Mysterious Explorations. It says there on their ArtStation page. Dark Sun. He made Dark Sun. It's a personal animation project. There's not much on there. No, it's only a artist in their personal project on their ArtStation. Maybe the other stuff he worked on are like NDA or something. I guess so far what we know is he made a Stardust and he made a personal animation. All the other stuff he probably worked on Games Workshop is like under NDA. That's what I can gather. Because there's nothing on his ArtStation. And it seems like this is the most reliable source. Because it's him. You know what I mean? People just speculate online. But this one is his site. Yeah, if you look at his LinkedIn, it's freelance. Yeah, and also on his Patreon, it just says he's working on Yatra project. Seems like a personal project. That's all it said. He's working on something else. Oh, that's kind of sad. He was making more money on Patreon, I bet. Because he made really good stuff. He makes really good stuff. Like for people like that, for people who makes animations and it's really popular, I'm sure they get more fan funding than if they actually work for a real company. For sure. Because the fans directly support them. The fans like them. They don't need the company to manage what they do. People are willing to wait a year for 5 minutes of stuff, Saj. Yeah, that's true, that's true. I mean, it is good stuff. And he already proved that he's really good at it. So, you know. Oh man, that's sad. I mean, I also was looking at FlashGit's Patreon. Dude, this they make a lot of money on Patreon. They make the animations, right? Imagine if a company actually manages them. Bruh. They're gonna get like minimum wage or something. But the fans will support them for sure. If you make good stuff, the fans will support you no matter what. Don't understand the importance of fan creation? Yeah. I feel like most big companies, like the really big companies, they're out of touch. A lot of them are out of touch. Like it even happens in games, right? This is why the indie games are better than AAA games right now. Oh my god, these AAA games. Oh. Oh. Oh boy. They're fumbling. They're fumbling. Oh shit. Super bad in games. That's true. Oh my god. It's really, really bad. Shenanigans happening in big studios were quite weird, right? They always fire people. They keep firing people. They do layoffs, massive scale layoffs, and then they sell you these expensive ass games that you don't really want to play. I mean, some people want to play them, of course. They earn so much money, but they keep laying off these amazing people who made their games. Oh my god. Sheesh. Sad. It's sad. It was so confusing as well. I remember when I saw the news about Xbox shutting down Tango. What's that? The one who made Hi-Fi Rush. It was so weird. Because it seemed so successful and then shut it down. So weird. Because I thought that's what they want. They want a successful game. They want a successful title and then they shut it down. And now they're looking for more successful games, hopefully. Who wants to participate in that? Successful is not profitable. You need to make the arrows go up. You need stonks, more stonks. Ooh, more stonks. They don't care about their own universe's lore. Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? I thought that's the bread and butter of their stuff. It's so important. It's fundamental to their stuff. They should care more. Because a lot of people love the stuff already. A lot of people love Warhammer already. They just have to make more content that people like. Surely they have people that do like market research, right? Surely they hire people that do market research. Come on. Come on, dude. Ay. I don't know. They need to be in touch with the people. Gotta be in touch with the people, dude. Halo 3, every game will look like a failure. Halo is different though. I thought that the Halo currently, the new Halo games are bad. People like Halo because of nostalgia. But the new Halo games are bad because someone else took over the Halo franchise, right? I don't know though. I get my news from Moist Critical and Asmongold, so I don't know. That's how I know my internet news, because I watch Moist Critical and Asmon. They also made like a series, right? Halo series. I haven't heard anyone who likes that one. Let me Google. I know there's a Halo series. Television series, yes, there is. They made one. 343 Studios. They didn't shut down 343 Studios though. They shut down the Tango studio. This is what happens when a company is so big. They're too big to fail, you see? Have you heard that phrase before? They're too big to fail. It's not true. Halo show never happened. Don't know why you would think there was one. There was no Halo show. Oh no. I don't remember a Halo show. What Halo show? It does not exist. Oh shit. Okay, let's watch the Mechanicus trailer. Mechanicus teaser trailer. Is this the one where they got that line where, "From the moment I understood the weakness of the flesh, it disgusted me"? Or maybe not. I don't know. I just remember seeing. I saw the memes. This one I just saw the memes. Okay. From the moment I understood the weakness of the flesh. That's a good meme. Let's go.
From the moment I understood.
Oh my god! It's from the trailer. Oh yes, it is from the trailer. That's a very cute transition and very cute cursor, right? Look at that cursor. From the moment I understood the weakness of the flesh. Oh my god, it is from the trailer. That's amazing. Let's go. Okay, like it right away. Like, subscribe. Oh, that's amazing.
With the weakness of my flesh.
It disgusted me. Let's go.
I craved the strength and certainty
Oh,
of steel.
yes.
I aspired to the purity of the blessed machine.
The blessed machine.
Your kind cling to your flesh, as if it will not decay and fail you.
Oh, what a voice.
One day the crude biomass that you call the temple
I
will
cannot.
rot, and you will beg
I didn't know it's from the trailer.
save you.
But I am already saved. Oh my god. Let's go.
For the machine is immortal.
Oh, goosebumps.
Even in death, I serve the undesire.
Woo! Yes. For I am already saved. But I am already saved. Oh my god. I saw the memes first before watching this. It's amazing. Oh, from the moment I understood the weakness of the flesh. Oh,
From the moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, it
Orangutanicus, let's go.
I craved the strength and certainty of steel.
Oh my god.
I aspired
I love
to
it.
the purity
I love
of
it.
the blessed machine.
This trailer. Oh, it's perfect.
Your kind cling to your flesh,
Oh my
as if it will not decay and fail you. One day, the crude biomass that you call the temple will wither, and you will beg
It's so
my
good.
kind
I'm gonna watch it again. Oh, it deserves a second watch, a third watch, fourth watch. Oh.
But I am already saved.
Yes.
The machine is immortal.
This sound effect right here, when he said for the machine is immortal, I was like, when? Oh. That one? Oh.
Even in death,
That's so good.
serve the undesire.
That's so good when he goes, wow. Dude? Yes. Yes, dude. Oh, let's go, Mechanicus. I love it. Yes! Mechanicus is amazing. Every piece you see in its trailer was a part of a tech priest that said all of this before getting turned into a flying helper skull. Oh. Did he become a good servitor? Oh no. Orangutanicus is how the Elder and Necron view the humans. Oh shit. Ah, that's a good trailer there. That one? That's a good trailer. I love it. From the moment I understood the weakness of our flesh, it disgusted me. Wow. Yes. He's literally the servo skull at the end. No, poor guy. Maybe he's not poor guy. You know, maybe he likes it. You don't know. We don't know. I don't know. Me? I don't know. Magus Reditus. He's the tutorial service call for the Mechanicus game. He's called Reditus. I thought you were gonna say he's the Magus of Reddit. Magus Reditus. Oh my god. No way. Is he Magus Reditus? He's a little freaky. The servo skull was talking the whole time. Mechanicus. How much is it? I feel like I already looked at this before. Oh, it's $30. I mean, it's very positive. The reviews are positive. Mechanicus. Oh, I love them. They called his ass a Redditor. Oh, he's a Redditor. He likes hanging out in Reddit. That's why he's called Redditor. Oh no. Oh well, that's it for me. Goodbye. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe if you don't want to be a good servitor. Join membership. Oh. Bye-bye. Thank you for accompanying me. See you on Monday. We're gonna watch Hell's Reach on Monday. Yes. Yes. Hope you have a good weekend. Good night, sweet dreams. Or have a good day. Yes. See you next time. This is the ending song. Ending song. This is the ending song. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, ending song. Ending song. Do you wanna be a good servitor? Oh, shit. Ending song. Bye-bye. Nyoom out.